100 shares of the company. Let's pull up Cross Limited as well, and this counter also has given decent returns, but then got fizzled out as well. So let's pull up the 1 year chart and the 5 year chart also. Recently listed about 18 months ago. So the 5 year chart will give you a perspective of where it has come from, but largely very flattish moves. Narendra, I don't know if you have coverage on this counter, but largely, since 2024, down 25%. I think Anand Rathi did have an IPO note at that time, but what's your view on the counter now?
Yeah, good afternoon. Yeah, definitely we do not have any active recommendation on the stock right now, but on the sectoral front, we are very positive on both the autos and auto ancillaries, and there are a lot of other names which I can tell you, like Bellrise is one of the stock in which we are very positive. Minta Corporation is another ancillary stock which we are very positive on. So overall, we are very positive on the sectoral front, and we like Bellrise and Minta Corporation within the bank.
Got that view, but let's go across, take our first caller for today, and this one's coming from Bengaluru. Geeta has a stock query for us. Geeta, good morning, good afternoon actually. What's your query?
Hi sir, good afternoon. Hi sir, very good afternoon. My query is regarding Cummins India. I have 12 shares at 3635. I want to add more. At what price I should add more? My view is for 3 to 5 years, sir.
3 to 5 years, got it. Geeta, but Narendra, firstly, any active coverage that you have on Cummins India?
No, we do not have any active recommendation on this stock as well. But overall, this space is also one of the preferred space which we like, especially if you talk about in the capital goods segment, we are more leaning towards stocks like TD Power System, CG Power, etc. kind of stocks.
And we put this out as well over the last couple of days that Kirloskar Oil has started to invest in the higher power gensets as well, 192 kilowatt and above, and I think hence you've seen that impact actually on Cummins India. So if you can pull up the 1 week chart, and Geeta, hopefully that will give you some more perspective as to why Cummins has been slightly under pressure. Let's look at the 1 week chart for both Kirloskar Oil as well as for Cummins India. For Cummins, you saw that downtick. So that 5,800, which we saw a couple of days ago, and then the downtick started to happen because that update from Kirloskar Oil, and the other counter that you're seeing up 10%. So Geeta, do keep all of these things into consideration before you take your pick as well. But overall, stock continues to be in focus. But Jatin, just before we go ahead, any quick view that you have on either Cummins or on Kirloskar Oil?
Yeah, see, I'll give you a view on Cummins India. So Cummins India is in a sharp up move or an uptrend. Now the caller wants to hold it for 3 to 5 years. So the level around 5,200 as the 20-week average, and below that 4,800, which is the long-term average of 200 moving average. So these are the levels wherein if the stock slips, then she should add at those levels. So 5,200 and 4,800 are the crucial levels to keep in mind.
Got that view. But the next question coming in now, this is from Anuj from Saket, Delhi. He wants to know about CSB Bank. Stocks down 5% today. He's bought shares at 368. So currently sitting on a massive loss because he's holding 2,000 shares. Narendra, do you have coverage on CSB Bank?
No, we do not have any recommendation on this stock.
Jatin, anything on your charts that you're looking at?
Yeah, see, technically the stock is weak, and on the weekly charts we can see a bearish flag breakdown. So that indicates further downside is possible towards 300 to 90 odd levels. So even at current levels, he should exit.
He should exit. Okay, got that view, Jatin. Also, Jatin, the other question is on Z Entertainment as well. Now on the fundamental side of things, there has been the FIFA World Cup rights that they've gotten, but Siv Kumar from Coimbatore is actually bought shares at 119, currently incurring a loss. Do you see a revival back from that 112 that it's currently at to his buying price?
Yeah, see, on the downside, I'm expecting a move towards 107, 108, where we have the 20-day moving average as the support. So from thereafter, we can expect a further up move towards 125. But currently, he'll have to bear some pain till 108, 107 levels.
Got that view. So some pain expected, according to Jatin on this particular counter. Watch out for that. Next one's Bector Foods. Piyusha from Jaipur is holding shares at 256 and she's holding 700 of them. Wants to know if she should continue to hold on or average this counter now. What would you recommend here, Jatin?
Yeah, see, overall, the stock is still in a downtrend, and the recent pullback that we saw fizzled out at 190 odd levels, where we have the 20-week average. So the trend still remains negative. I think no point of averaging as of now. Use this pullback as an exit opportunity.
Got that view. But next question coming in now, and this one's on Federal Bank. Murli from Hyderabad is holding to shares at 117. He's holding on since quite a long time because he's almost up 3x from the buying price. Wants to know if what's an upside target for the next year or so. Narendra, what would you make of this counter?
Yeah, we have a positive view on the stock and we have a buy rating, and right now we have 349 rupees target, and we are expecting the ROEs to continue to show improvement, and we are expecting at least 150 to 200 bips of improvement over the next 2 years in the ROEs of the bank. So right now we have 350 rupees target price.
And within the private banking space, Narendra, is it one of the top picks, or where does Federal Bank basically land in the pecking order?
See, if you talk about tier 2 private banks, then yes, it is one of our top picks. But in an overall private banks, we prefer larger banks like ICICI and Axis.
ICICI and Axis, got that view. But the next question coming in now, and this one's on Indian banks, so sticking with the banking space. Vijay from Chennai wants to know a short-term target for this one. Jatin, what's your view?
Yeah, see, Indian Bank is still stuck in this range of 880 to 830 on the downside. So short-term view would be, sideways only, range bound between 880 and 830. So that would be the near-term outlook.
Outlook, got that view. Next one coming in on BEL, and Lalita from Bangalore is holding 205 shares at 433, currently incurring a loss right now. But would you recommend, Narendra, for her to continue holding this counter?
Yes, definitely. Defense is one of the space where we are very positive on, and just one in this space, what we have to keep in mind is that because of the lumpy nature in terms of both order books as well as execution, so one has to have a time horizon of at least 3 to 5 years in order to generate a decent amount of money. So we also have a positive view on the stock also. Right now we have a target of around 500 rupees, so she can continue to hold on to it.
Got that view. The next question coming in now, and this one continues to be on Sona BLW. Now Sriram Raghuraman, who's a senior citizen, is holding on to 60 shares, but he's bought at 319, so he's almost up 70 to 80% on this counter. Wants to know if it's a good time to add more at this point of time. Narendra, would you recommend that?
Yeah, again, we do not have any active recommendation on this specific stock, but as I've said earlier, auto inquiries is one of our favorite space where to invest in. So can look at stocks like Bell Rise Industries, Hindalco for sale.
Any view, Jatin, that you might have if it's a good time to add? Because after a really, really long time, you're seeing that 600 mark being breached for Sona BLW. Do you feel that this momentum is here to continue?
Yeah, see, we believe that the auto and auto ancillary stocks, which are seeing a positive momentum, have still more juice on the upside. So yes, he can add more even at current levels. On the upside, immediately I'm expecting levels of 660 to 675. And if he's adding at current levels, he should keep a trailing stop loss at 604.
04, got it. Next one that's coming in, it's on Sirma SGS, and Pramod from Bengaluru is holding 100 shares at 825. So up in massive gains right now. Narendra, within the EMS pack, which stocks do you guys have in coverage right now, and is Sirma SGS one of them?
See, EMS in EMS Sirma we do not have any active coverage. However, in EMS we like to go with the players who are well diversified like Dixon Technologies.
Dixon Tech, correct. And what's any targets that you have on Dixon Tech right now? Because it's also broken up that 12,000 mark after a really long time. And of course, that Vivo JV news is something that's been awaited. But what's your target on Dixon Tech?
Right now, we have target of around 12,625.
Got it. Next one's coming in from Dilip from Kolkata on Vesuvius. And Jatin, he wants to know if holding on at 556 rupees per share is a good idea, and if he can add more at the current price.
Would not suggest to add because the trend is negative and it's unable to surpass its previous swing high of 490. So the trend is still negative. No point of averaging at this point of time.
No point of averaging. Correct. Next question coming in now, and this one was on Hindalco. Somik from Kolkata is holding on to shares at 960. Actually, he's mentioned that today the stock touched 960 and then seen some correction, but he's up 40% from his buying price. And asking Narendra if what would be a better level to buy back these shares. There's been some issues regarding the Oswego fire amongst others. How are you viewing stock now?
See, we have a positive view on the stock, of course, because it's a commodity play, so you have bouts of volatility because of a lot of global levers are being volatility is induced because of a lot of different global events. But having said that, I think medium to long term we are positive, and Hindalco has one of the lowest cost producing factories globally. So I think the company would tide over the short term volatility, and right now we have a target price of 1170 rupees.
1170. Got that view, Narendra. But next question coming in now, and this one's on Eon Exchange. Mihir Mehta is holding on to shares at 400 rupees per share. We discussed the stock a couple of days ago. But Narendra, he wants to know if it's a good time to continue holding this play on the water side. How are you viewing this counter?
Right now, we do not have any active recommendation on the stock, but yes, as what we have seen is that monsoon is struggling, and there has been some delay, and it is anticipated that the monsoon would be below normal. So in that case, I think a lot of investments into the desalination projects is required for maintaining the water supply to the larger cities. So yes, this play is evolving, and it's interesting. A lot of government investment should also be coming on the way. But I think if somebody is ready to hold it for at least 1 to 2 years, then should remain in this space. Otherwise, I think the short-term news cycle, once it fizzles out, and then I think the stock would go into consolidation phase.
Next one's coming from Sumant from Kolkata, and she has 3 pharma names on her focus: Sun Pharma, Dr. Reddy's, and Cipla. Wants to know if either of those she can hold for the next 3 years. Narendra, anything on your radar out of these 3?
Dr. Reddy's, she can continue to hold.
She can continue to hold. Got it. Next one coming in now, and this one is from Nalini from Chennai. Wants to know a short-term outlook on JSW Infra. Jatin, some targets, stop loss that you're watching out for?
The JSW Infra gave a decent breakout in yesterday's trading session, and it's witnessing some pullback in today's trading session. But the overall trend for this stock is positive. On the upside, I'm expecting levels of 370. If she is already holding, then she can trail the stop loss at 315 on the downside.
Let's start the rapid fire round now. Narendra as well as Jatin, you know the drill. The first question coming in on ATG. Ramesh is holding shares at 634. Should he average down? Jatin, would you recommend that?
No, avoid averaging.
Next question, this is from Satya, and he wants to know about Embassy Development. He's holding the shares at 109. Then we've seen, a bunch of, insolvency updates come through. But Jatin, on the charts, 3% up today. Is the move expected to continue?
I'll skip this question. I can't get the code.
Okay, you can't get the code. Okay, got it. And probably look at Embassy Developments and get that code for you, because EMBDL is what I'm being prompted in, Narendra. Jatin, could you check if, and we'll of course give you a couple of minutes. I'll come back to you post the next query. One's coming on Paras Defense. Wants to know if Sangeeta wants to know if she can continue holding this counter at 1334. Narendra, any coverage? If not, anything that you like in the defense space?
Yeah, right now no view on the stock, but yes, definitely we like the defense space. Bharat Electronics is one of the stocks which one can invest in this space.
Any luck with EMBDL, Jatin, on Embassy?
Yeah. So EMBDL, the stock is in a downtrend. I would suggest to avoid at this point of time. It is resisting at its 200-day moving average. Avoid.
Okay, got it. Next one is coming in on Tata Capital. Our viewers bought shares at over 450 is what's being mentioned. And I wonder if it went to that price. Let's look at the all-time high chart, because for quite a lot of time, stock was stuck at the 320 or 350 mark. But irrespective, Narendra, should he continue to hold this counter?
Right now, no view on the stock.
Okay, got it. Well, that was the last question of the rapid fire, and as well as this edition of Ask Profit as well. Narendra as well as Jatin, thanks so much for helping us solve all those stock-related queries. But viewers, that was the last question today. Thanks so much for watching. But India Market Close comes up next.
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे, केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार, विमल बोलो जुबान केसरी।
India Inc.'s most respected names chose India Inc.'s best and brightest.
I'm delighted to be chairing a committee of such distinguished fellow businessmen, bankers. It's just lovely to be back on this NDTV jury. I have been a fan of NDTV for a long time.
Many of the nominees are extremely close together in terms of what they've done.
I think it's also important that how they are reshaping the industries, commercial activities which they are into. And it's a very judicious mix of people to choose from. My compliments to the team.
Who will earn India's top business honors? Find out at the NDTV Profit Business Leadership Awards. India's unshakable news habit. NDTV.com is India's #1 English news website.
Hi, I'm Tamanna Inamdar. Watch me on NDTV Profit, where I break down the day's biggest business stories. What happened, why it matters, and what it means for your money.
Hi, I'm Neeraj Shah. Watch me on NDTV Profit for the most incisive market intelligence and meaningful corporate conversations.
And I'm Alex Matthew. Markets, mutual funds, insurance, personal finance. I help you cut through the noise and make smarter financial choices.
And here's where you can watch us.
The news, Ayush. Since when do we do scripts? Fair point. Picture this.
the biggest stage. Floodlights. Wow. 4K, the works. Where's the hook? There's going to be celebrities and guaranteed eyeballs. Where's the hook? Think about this. Front page advertisements and hoardings. Bro, where's the hook? Cross-platform, digital first, virality. Without a hook, no way. The message is clear. It's 2026. You gotta be real in a world of reels. You gotta be original in a world where...
Hello and welcome to India Market Close on NDTV Profit. I'm Hiral Dadia and with me is Sharad Dubey. Sharad, interesting day of trade. Just when we thought that the markets would probably end on a strong footing, you've actually given up those gains. We're below that 24,100 mark right now, still trading in the positive with gains of 0.3%. But before we look at anything else, let's just look at the Nifty intraday chart, and that will tell you the story right now. From the day's highs of 24,261, from there, you've come up substantially, almost trying to inch towards the lows. We've hit the intraday lows at 24,021. So we're just around 60 to 70 points away from the intraday lows today.
Yes, and two factors actually. The first one is that there is a monthly expiry for the Sensex. There is a little bit of volatility, and as we are discussing, there is a long weekend also. So
yeah,
a little
I'm
bit
sure
of profit
people want to
booking.
take away exactly before anything else happens over the next 3 days. People are booking profits and probably going away from the long weekend. Let's look at this heat map in terms of Nifty 50, and then we'll look at the advanced decline ratio as well. But if you see in terms of individual stocks, kind of it's pretty much even Stevens in terms of the greens and the reds. However, Indigo continues to see the kind of gains that we're seeing, but that's only on the way. Crude prices have come off. We're actually in terms of pre-war levels, so that's what is the booster there. Your auto counters and your auto
that has done really well, and
exactly.
Most of them are going up.
M&M 4.5% up move. Maruti from that, Tata Motors, PV, Bajaj Auto across. So everything in the auto space is up. Your consumption space is also pretty good in trade. So Tata Consumers is HUL. You have Nestle trading in the positive. Banking names from an SBI, ICICI Bank, Kotak Mahindra Bank, HDFC trading in the positive. What's not doing well is an ONGC, which is the top losing stock today, but that's obviously because crude is coming off. Metal counters have continued to see the downward pressure.
And even the gold prices, the metal prices, the way the dollar is strengthening, so there is a pressure coming in. Of course, there is some Fed's hawkish bets. That's why the street is actually factoring in some issues. But let's pull up the sectoral chart and see what's happening. And as you had mentioned, Hiral, the auto space, that should be at the top. Yes, it's at the top, almost 3% up, as you could say. And most of the sectors are in a range bound, but a little bit of concern definitely is there for oil and gas and metals, as we discussed.
Absolutely. And you have IT as well. If you just pull up the intraday chart of Nifty IT, the kind of profit booking that's coming in from your highs, I mean, from, whatever the intraday highs at the day's lowest level. So there is that downtick coming in terms of Nifty IT as well. Let's look at the advanced decline ratio, and then we look at the broader markets to correlate what's happening there. There you go. You saw that convergence happening, just in the first couple of hours of trade. And now you're seeing that the declines are taking over your advances, and that's what the number is looking at. 1,600 declines to almost around 1,000 advances in trade right now. And to this, let's look at the mid-cap and the small-cap index, because all these trading sessions, you've seen some bit of respite when you talk about the small-cap indices. But there you go, mid-cap 150 at the day's low.
Both of them are at the
250
day's low.
also at the day's low. So it's the broader markets which are seeing that profit booking which is coming in as well.
Exactly, and the index management which was there for the last two trading sessions, Hiral, that's what we are seeing. At least Nifty and Nifty Bank are holding up, but if not, the big sell-off which we are seeing. But let's move on to the factors and see what's going to happen right now. And of course, remember, there's a monthly Sensex expiry at play. That's one of the key reasons. But the Nifty resistance range still, I would say, is between 24,300 to 24,700 mark. Nifty Bank ranges between 58,700 to 59,200. And the benchmark indices are outperforming small and mid caps. Amongst the macro cues also, let's just figure out what's happening. Oil has sunk towards its pre-war levels, and that's also aiding a lot of important sentiment. Dollar stands tall on hawkish Fed bets, and that's impacting all other asset classes as well. Metal gold sell-off continues. Rupee rebounds. That's a good sign, actually speaking, but global cues are suggesting that the European stocks opening positive. So the global macro setup looks good, but remember, it's a long weekend and Indian markets are closed tomorrow as well. So these are the important factors to watch out for. But yes, there will be volatility going ahead over the last 90 odd minutes. So Hiral, what else is there on your radar?
Okay, I mean, that's with regards to cues that we're watching out for. Let's just pull up NSE 500 components as well and see what's happening on that front. And then we will look at the Nifty 50 contributors as well as to what's actually pulling the Nifty lower. If you see in terms of BSE 500, your footwear companies have also been very strong in trade. So from a Relaxo to a Bata, all of them actually hogging the limelight. Motherson Wiring, Aegis Logistics, Samvardhana, Sterlite, Asahi India, a few of the other gainers as well. Oracle Financial is a very strong contender because in spite of the entire IT sector being under pressure in the last 1 year, this is the only counter which is actually giving you gains. On the downside, your gold loan oriented companies are slightly under pressure. So your CSB Bank, which is down nearly 6%, along with that, Manappuram Muthoot are also the ones which could probably see some bit of pressure along with the IIFL. Your Bandhan Bank, Brigade Enterprises, Mishra Dhatu, a few names which are down in trade. But overall, in terms of markets, to discuss what levels you should be watching out for and what should the strategy be ahead of the long weekend, Deven Mehta, manager and technical and derivatives analyst at IDBI Capital Markets and Securities, and you have Samir Dalal from Natwarlal and Sons Stock Broking joining in. Welcome to the show, gentlemen. Always a pleasure to speak to you. The kind of sell-off, Deven, that is coming in terms of markets right now, what would you actually attribute this to?
Yes, so as far as Nifty is concerned, I think Nifty has headed towards its resistance of 24,200 today. But again, we can see that it is unable to close on that particular level, which is the upper band of the range. So I think it will again come back in range and it can trade in range for the coming week. As we have long weekend, we have seen profit booking from higher levels due to certain global uncertainties. But yes, overall, as far as Nifty structure is concerned, I think we can see some down move, some profit booking from higher levels, and it can again approach its important support of 23,800 levels. So I think anyone holding long position in Nifty, one should try to book profits as we are near the higher zone of the range, and we can see some profit booking in Nifty.
So of course the action is there in the indices, especially the benchmarks. But if you look at the technical picks, Deven, what will be there?
So I think there is one stock that is a cash counter, that is Saregama. I think Saregama India Limited is one of the counter which has shown a good strength. Currently it is up by around 2.75% today. And I think the overall structure is positive. We can see a golden crossover in this particular counter. So one can buy this particular counter at current market price of 484 levels. The stop loss for this particular counter can be around 458. This level coincides with the 20-day exponential moving average, and we can see this counter moving towards 530 levels. So I think for the target of 530, one can buy Saregama India Limited at current market price.
So Saregama is one of the technical picks that's coming in there. In fact, Samir, let me come to you as well. In this kind of a market structure that you're seeing, a lot of stocks that are buzzing, if you have to look at the auto pack, auto ancillary pack, pharma has been in focus as well over the last 5 to 6 trading sessions. What would your top pick be at this point in time, a stock which you're looking at?
We have many stocks in the mid-cap space that we continuously look at and keep evaluating. So I'll tell you the ones that we've been adding over the recent past, right? They're little offbeat stocks. So one of them is a company called Crizac Limited, which does services for educational institutions in the UK, New Zealand, Australia, for sending international students abroad. They do the entire application process and the visas, they help with the visas, the funding, all of that. So, we think some stocks which are doing differentiated products with limited competition, which have good growth numbers in front of them, those are the ones too. So that is Crizac is one. Another one which we've been investing over the recent past, we haven't bought it recently, so I can talk about it, is a company called First Cry, which is Brainwave Solution, which caters to multiple products, the largest being, of course, the childcare from 0 to 12, for new mothers. It's a single stop shop where you can get all products of various brands. Plus they have their in-house white labels, which is also gaining momentum. So they do it offline and online with an expansion in the Middle East and UAE. So stocks like that. Then the banking and financial services, we continue to evaluate and buy. So we are always looking at IndusInd, IDFC, First Bank, and the slightly smaller ones. And HDFC is our top pick in the larger ones. So that is another. Then the power space is something we focus on quite a bit. So there's no particular top pick. It's sectoral based and stock specific. So yeah, Sterling and Wilson, which you just put up on your screen, is obviously one of the stocks that we like a lot. We think it's going to give you phenomenal returns over a longer term period. We think even Tata Power at this level of 390 makes a good acquisition from a 2-year point of view. We think we can get CAGR returns of at least 15 to 18% over the next 2 years with low risk. So, these are the kind of stocks that we like at this point. And then, of course, sector-wise, it depends what is there.
Okay. So that's with regards to Tata Power as well. Interesting one there. Let's just pull up PI Industries on the screens and see what's happening with that one. You have two brokerage notes, that's Nuvama and you have a 361, which have come out with their report. And this is on the back of Adama, which has launched pyroxasulfone in the USA market. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. And Adama is the largest generic manufacturer of this agrochemical. There is pricing pressure in this pyrosulfone, which is expected to build up, is what Nuvama is indicating. And they're expecting margin pressure to come in terms of PI Industries that will sustain throughout the year. Likewise, what 361 is indicating is that the US market competition for this agrochemical is intensifying. And this new launch may lead to price erosion in the US market, which could percolate down to PI Industries supplies as well. And they remain cautious on this counter in the near term with regards to where the growth prospects go. Samir, any quick cube view when it comes to PI Industries?
Look, the agrochem space is something that will obviously have great growth, and let's talk specifically about PI. So what PI does is it brings in new molecules which it can incorporate and sell within the domestic market. And of course, they focus on the export side. Yes, if competition increases in the US markets, which, I haven't seen this report or check this chemical, whether there's competition increasing and how that would play out in the short term. But we still believe that will continue to grow. The only problem with PI was the valuations had probably been more expensive for too long. And it's a correction in the valuation that's really happening if you look at it over a last 1.5 year period, right? So now with the valuations coming off a bit, and we still believe that the next 2 to 3 years you will see decent growth, we could see the stock bottoming out. Is it an outright buy at this point of time? No, I think one needs to probably keep evaluating. We thought for us 2,200 would have been a decent price to get in. That would have been a PE of about 25. That means, you have limited downside. And remember, these are more players which cater to the farm segment. And if the Indian monsoon comes weak, that could be a problem. So we got to evaluate it, but at the moment, it's not a buy for us. It's still, we think the valuations are a bit on the higher side.
Right, that's the view coming in. PI Industries, the day's low level also right now, almost down 2%. But moving on, our stock of the day today is Interglobe Aviation. The stock has rallied 22% in this month itself so far. And Somit is here to join in and decode the top 5 reasons behind the rally. Somit, Interglobe Aviation, a lot of positive news flows are coming in.
Well, yes, it's up, in fact, up nearly 5% for the second consecutive trading session. And in the month of June, if you look at, the gains are nearly 22%, the best monthly gains that Indigo has reported since August 2020. The market capitalization of the company has crossed about 2 lakh crore rupees mark for the very first time since December 2020. So what are the 5 reasons why Indigo has been in such an uptrend? Firstly, Brent crude is back to pre-war level. Brent crude is trading around the $73 per barrel mark, and fuel cost nearly 30 to 40% of the total cost for an airline company. So fuel cost coming down is definitely a positive coming in for Indigo firstly. Second one is INR, that is Indian currency, has appreciated against the dollar by nearly 3% and for an airline company, nearly 70% of the total cost is dollar denominated. And for Indigo specifically, every 1% fall in the rupee against the USD leads to 31% hit to the FY27 profitability. And of this 13%, around 5% is actual benefit that comes in, while 8% is a notional that would come in for Indigo. Now, when it comes to the competitive landscape, that is also quite strengthening for Indigo, given the fact that Air India has cut its capacity by nearly 25% on a YOY basis in the month of June. So less capacity coming in for Air India means more market share gains for Indigo going forward. And both these factors, that is lower cost and more capacity, could actually boost the company's profitability, because lower capacity would also keep airfares on the higher side, while lower oil and rupee appreciation would keep cost on the lower side. And both these factors could start boosting the profitability of Indigo starting from the second quarter of FY27. And lastly, limited impact of the airspace closure that we had seen, or because of the geopolitical issue. Now, the data that we have compiled for the third quarter of for the first quarter of FY27 show that the domestic air traffic could be up nearly 2% on a YY basis, while international air traffic is down by just 10% on a YY basis. So not much of an impact coming in on Indigo for because of the geopolitical issues that we had seen. So these are broadly the 5 odd reasons. Now, if you look at the analyst view here, and this could be one of the concerns, given the sharp run-up that we have already seen in the share prices, valuation seems to be quite full. In fact, the 12-month consensus target price stands at close to 5,324 as against the current market price of 5,429, which suggests that it's already trading above the consensus target price. And also on the valuation front, the 12-month forward price to earnings stands at close to 37.2 times, while the 2-year average P for Indigo was 24x. So valuations look a bit expensive at this moment, and the stock is also trading above the consensus target price, and this could be an overhang on the share prices of Indigo until the results come out and the management gives some commentary for the future.
Thanks a lot, Somit, for that. Deven, time to book a little bit of profit for Interglobe Aviation if somebody is having a medium-term or even a short-term stake in the company?
Yes, definitely. I think one should try to book at least 50% profit as the run-up is very good. We have seen good returns from last 5 to 7 consecutive days. I think one should try to book at least 50% profit. For rest of the quantity, one should definitely trail their stop losses up near 5,250. I think that can be the stop loss for this particular counter on closing basis. If it closes below that, then we can see some further corrective move in this counter towards 4,950 odd levels. So I think 5,250 should be the trailing stop loss for the rest of the 50% quantity.
And Samir, you want to get your views also for Interglobe Aviation. I know the valuations are a bit expensive, and while we're discussing, Somit was mentioning, there was a smile on your face also. Just wanted to understand, is there anything left, for a value investor for Interglobe Aviation?
So the smile on my face was when Deven said that you should book profit, because I'm not a big fan of being invested in the aviation industry. I've always stated that aviation industry, if you look at it worldwide, it is the industry that makes billionaires into millionaires, right? Now, coming to why I am not a very big fan of this industry is for the simple reason that, look, you're booking tickets and buying, taking money up front, but you don't know what your eventual cost of fuel is going to be, right? So like in the situation where fuel prices ran up, you had booked all these tickets at lower prices, and suddenly you had to buy fuel at the higher prices, which made you lose money. And I think Q1 numbers for Indigo are going to be pathetic. Now, the reverse obviously benefits them on the other side. But the basic point is that if we see economic slowdown at any given point, travel is the first thing that takes a hit. And when that takes a hit and you are flying these planes which are going in not up to capacity, and you cut prices to bring more people on, it kind of hurts the industry. So for me, aviation is a high risk industry, and I would not invest. Valuations obviously on the higher side, 37 times, of course, but growth is something that people factor in Indian aviation. But I worry that it takes one major event to send something like this into a tailspin. So for me, aviation as a sector overall is an avoid.
That's right. But Hiral, a long weekend is also coming, and I think a lot of folks, our viewers, must have booked flights. Must be very expensive.
Must be expensive as well if they have booked in the short term, taking the war situation, easing out closer to the long weekend. But let's see, I think we'll check that and let the viewers know as well. But it's time of the day where we are doing and getting you all the chatter from the dealing room. Somit Sarkar is still with us to tell us what is he picking up just before the long weekend. Somit, is the chatter to actually book profits ahead of the long weekend or continue holding and give something new?
Well, there are actually no chatters of booking profit after a very long time that we are looking at, because during the war, always whenever there was a long weekend or weekend coming in, people used to be light and never used to carry forward their positions. But there's no such chatter as of now in the dealing room on that front. But a few stocks that dealers have highlighted. Firstly, it's Bandhan Bank. The stock is down on rumors of fundraise and a guidance cut that could come in. Today there's a board meet, but what dealing rooms are indicating here is that the fundraise would just be an enabling resolution and there won't be an actual fundraise that the company would go ahead, and they're also not expecting any guidance cut that would come in for a Bandhan Bank. So keep an eye out for that counter. The stock is down nearly 4%. There could be a reversal going forward. For Vimta Labs, there are buy flows on the large HNI and PMS desks. They are expecting a potential M&A activity that could happen here in this counter. For Sterlite Tech, the company opened their QIP yesterday. The demand is seen to be quite strong for this QIP, and multiple mutual funds have shown interest with the likes of Nippon and Motilal is what dealing rooms have indicated. For Gina Seco, large prominent HNI has been accumulating this counter in trade today is what dealing rooms are indicating. And for Confidence Petroleum, there are buy flows on the large HNI desk. Dealing rooms are indicating that the first quarter numbers are expected to be bumper for this counter. And lastly, when it comes to Vishal Megamart, there are some sell flows on the PMS desk. Dealers expect a weak first quarter numbers, and there's also a buzz of a potential block deal that could happen when it comes to Vishal Megamart.
Okay, so interesting names coming in there as well. In fact, we should actually look at a technical check on any of the names. Deven, from all the stocks that Somit actually mentioned, where there is a little bit of chatter in the dealing room, anything on your cards as well?
Yes, definitely. I think I'd like to discuss two stocks out of that particular stocks. I think Bandhan Bank have respected its 50-day exponential moving average today, and it has shown some bounce back from these levels. So I think on the downside, 196 to 193, that is a strong support zone for this particular counter, and we do not see this counter moving below that levels. Whereas on the higher side, 215 to 218 is the resistance zone. I think this counter can trade for few days in this particular range, and any of the breakout on the either side will help the counter move at least 5 to 10% in coming days. So one should look at these particular levels. On the lower side, it is around 195. On the higher side, it is around 215, 218. The second stock which was discussed was Gina Seco. I think the stock is consolidating in a range on the lower band and it is trying to move higher, but there is a resistance on the higher side towards 630 levels. So if it crosses and holds above 630, then only we can see some further up move in this particular counter towards the next resistance of 740. So 630, an important resistance. If it breaches, one should try to buy this particular counter on this breakout for the target of 740 levels.
Interesting names coming in, but another sector, of course, is the top sectoral gainer. That's the auto pack. These stocks are gaining traction on the back of softer crude prices and resilient demand trends. Vahan data for June indicates sustained retail momentum across the segments despite geopolitical volatility and fuel price fluctuations. Let's go across to Puneet for more details. Puneet.
Well, thank you for that. It's definitely the one key aspect on the lower crude prices, which is definitely having a positive impact both on the truck makers as well as now across the board. So you've seen that momentum continue. When you also look at the June Vahan data till June of 2025, June 25th, 2026, you've seen that momentum continue as well compared to the same time last year, and much with rigor to add as well. When you look at the data, growth momentum also continues despite fuel price volatility, as well as the INCRED has put out a note where they've seen the dealers are using higher discount as one of the key strategies to continue the demand momentum from fading away at this point of time. OEMs have, despite having taken a 2 to 3%, 2 to 3 times price hike as well, of roughly between 1 to 4%, you've seen from January, demand has continued to remain resilient. So truck makers, growth has been slightly slower at this point of time, but because you're seeing divergent trends there, but EV momentum in both cars as well as two-wheelers is continuing as an additional booster. So when you look at the two-wheeler makers, what we have done now is compare the retail actual sales on a per day basis compared to the whole month of last year. So for Hero MotoCorp, the number that we're putting out is roughly 14,400 vehicles being sold every day, and this is retail sales. So it is the actual sales, a growth of 10% compared to the same time last year versus the per day average of 2025 June as well. For TVS Motors as well as Bajaj Auto, the growth is much higher, almost 20 to 37%. And for Eicher as well, the growth is almost 25% to almost 3,000 vehicles that are getting registered every day for Eicher Motors as well. When you look at the four-wheeler makers though, the growth is even stronger. So Maruti Suzuki has actually reported a 33% jump, 5,000 vehicles per day getting registered. You're also seeing a very high momentum for M&M as well, because it has both the higher end EV portfolio as well as within the Thar basket as well, that the mid-size SUV segment that's growing well. Hyundai, the growth is slower, but for Tata Motors also a 40% growth that we're seeing on a per day retail sales basis. The truck makers though, as I mentioned, while there has been strong growth for Tata Motors, there has been slower growth that's visible in Ashok Leyland. It'll be interesting to see if that trend persists or no. But for the tractor makers, yet again, you're seeing a 19 to 25% growth. The first 4 months are very crucial for the tractor sales for the full year as well. Almost 1,300 vehicles being registered. So that's the trend that's currently visible. A strong momentum across the board despite the volatility that we've seen across the board.
Okay, that's interesting data as well. And today the entire sector, auto ancillaries, both of them buzzing in trade. To discuss more, we have Dhruv Joshi, research analyst at Mirae Asset Sharekhan, joining in. Dhruv, welcome to the show. Always a pleasure to speak to you. What are you making of this rally that we are seeing in terms of auto companies as well as auto ancillaries right now? And the kind of commentary that has come in has also been very strong. Vahan data also indicating good amount of strength, and this is just before a forecast where the monsoon, wherein we could see a deficit.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for having me. So it's been a great end to the week. I would say that crude prices have somehow corrected or back to their own levels that before the war started. This is definitely a positive for the entire sector. Hence, we see that rally more so for the CV players, wherein we saw a kind of slowdown in the months of April and May. So there, the trend for the heavy vehicles, the M&HCV segment kind of was a little slower, wherein LCVs kind of made up for most of the things. But overall, the domestic market remains resilient and averse to the macro shocks that the whole world was facing. The problem continues to be the slower monsoons that at the deficit that's planned by the IMD. We do see that going forward, if there is again a higher deficit compared to what is already forecast, that could somehow slow down the tractors' volumes, primarily based on the sowing and the harvest that would entail. Overall, if you look at the following picture, the first quarter of this year for the automakers should be in the negative, because what we saw was deep impact of higher raw material prices, which is kind of negated right now with all the trend that we see. But overall, domestic resilience continues to beat everything in the market right now.
Right, Dhruv, there is some chances of El Nino risk which was there. That was, the street was estimating that, the demand might be impacted, but the story remains something else only right now. And now I just wanted to put that in perspective, which stocks in the medium term you could say are well poised, when it comes to the demand.
So coming to stock specific, we believe the PV maker, I'll come to the sector specific probably. On the PV makers, we prefer Maruti and as well as Mahindra and Mahindra. So those two stocks we believe are the kind of the highest beneficiaries of the overall demand trend that's been moving in. And the Mahindra again on the higher EV portfolio, which is seeing solid, strong growth momentum. Coming to two-wheelers, we kind of like at the moment Hero MotoCorp, which is doing fairly well on the basis of its whole portfolio that it carries, exposed to overall rural demand. But with the kind of momentum it has seen in the export markets and the kind of moves that it's making, we believe that for the valuations it trades at is kind of a better pick. And again, on the M&H CV side, we prefer Tata Motors CV. That's kind of a given there where, CV makers have now moved ahead of the pack.
Okay, thank you so much, Dhruv, for that. Interesting names that we are picking up as well when you talk about the entire auto pack. In fact, my colleague did actually attend the roundtable with the Tata Motors CV management, and they had interesting things to talk about it as well. Let's quickly listen in to what the management had to tell Puneet.
Largely continuing because you've given a 40% kind of a market share, and something that you've spoken about in the past as well. You ended at almost 35, 36 odd, and I think you mentioned the slide that you're at 37. But just in terms of that growth, do you think it's a little aggressive going into 2028, given some of the factors you spoke about, a very high base for H2 as well? And how are you seeing competition? Because in certain segments like ILCV, you've seen some market share decline also because competition has increased. So you had new launches, you mentioned that at the start of the year, but so has had the competition. So what gives you that confidence of that high growth for the next 2 years to get to that 40% target?
Yeah, so see, two things. One is you said aggressive target. Yes, because, one has to set aggressive targets in the organization, right? That is number one. Number two, what gives us confidence? I think and I also mentioned it on the investor day, it appears many of you were logged in probably. I didn't know, Swaraj, you followed the whole Q&A also. But I think, our focus is on now clear pricing discipline, clear customer value creation, and whatever pipeline we have in terms of products and turnaround, if I may say, that we have done on the service delivery using Fleetedge. I think we are in a good position, and we must therefore leverage these capabilities into finally market share. Let me, however, clarify that none of this market share come at the cost of pricing discipline, etc., not at the cost of the financial fitness. That will remain given, right? Over and above that, we have set aggressive market share targets with a perspective of customer value creation through better products and better service.
Okay, so that's the word coming in from the management of Tata Motors. Deven, anything that you like on the charts? Would you say it's booking profits right now, or are you seeing further momentum? Could it be, auto or from the auto ancillary space?
No, I was just going through many of the auto stocks, and more or less all the auto counters are approaching their resistance level. If we consider Maruti Suzuki, we have resistance in place around 13,900, and we have seen some kind of a cool off from that levels. So yes, for Maruti, one should try to book profit. Even if we consider two-wheeler pack, I think TVS Motors is also approaching its resistance level. We have seen a falling supply trend line on this particular counter around 3,600 to 3,615 levels, and we have seen slight profit booking from that level. So as far as auto packs are concerned, I think one should try to book certain profits. Even M&M, we can see a resistance on the higher side. It has still some room to move towards 30 to 50, but if it approaches that level, again one should try to book profit in M&M as well. So overall, as far as auto packs are concerned, one should try to book some profits in this particular counters. Whereas auto ancillary stocks are concerned, I think they are looking good, especially Motherson. I think one should try to hold Motherson, Samvardhana Motherson, with trailing stop loss, those who have already purchased. If any particular dip around 149 can be a good entry point for some further up move, I can see some further up move coming in Motherson towards the target of 161. So one should try to accumulate it on dip towards 149. The stop loss can be around 141 for the target of 161. So auto ancillary looks good, whereas the auto packs can see.
So thanks a lot, Deven and Samir, for taking out your time and giving you both fundamental and technical views. It's always a pleasure to have you with us, gentlemen. But moving on, Gautam Adani has launched Vande Bharatam, a nationwide hunt for innovators and entrepreneurs across all states and 800 plus districts. 75 finalists will be shortlisted through a multi-stage process and invited to Ahmedabad for an immersive program leading to a grand finale around Independence Day. The initiative aims to uncover entrepreneurial talent beyond traditional startup hubs across regions and communities. So there are a lot of action is there on the other side of the break. Stay tuned to India Market Close.
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार विमल बोलो जुबान केसरी
India's unshakable news habit. NDTV.com is India's #1 English news website.
Hi, I'm Tamanna Inamdar. Watch me on NDTV Profit, where I break down the day's biggest business stories. What happened, why it matters, and what it means for your money.
Hi, I'm Neeraj Shah. Watch me on NDTV Profit for the most incisive market intelligence and meaningful corporate conversations.
And I'm Alex Matthew. Markets, mutual funds, insurance, personal finance. I help you cut through the noise and make smarter financial choices. And here's where you can watch us.
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार विमल बोलो जुबान केसरी
India Inc.'s most respected names chose India Inc.'s best and brightest.
These kind of awards and jury lineup, you are truly giving it the right weightage.
The eminent juries who are here, and that itself speaks for the commitment towards highlighting the advantage which India is having. What I am looking for in this is that we should be awarding companies and individuals who have focused not only on growth but also on bringing good governance.
Be part of jury and vote on the people, the men, the women, the companies in India who have the right stuff is a great opportunity for us.
Who will earn India's top business honors? Find out at the NDTV Profit Business Leadership Awards. India's unshakable news habit. NDTV.com is India's #1 English news website.
Hi, I'm Tamanna Inamdar. Watch me on NDTV Profit, where I break down the day's biggest business stories. What happened, why it matters, and what it means for your money.
Hi, I'm Neeraj Shah. Watch me on NDTV Profit for the most incisive market intelligence and meaningful corporate conversations.
And I'm Alex Matthew. Markets, mutual funds, insurance, personal finance. I help you cut through the noise and make smarter financial choices. And here's where you can watch us.
Welcome back to NDTV Profit. You're watching India Market Close. Now, clearly, let's just pull up Nifty 50 as well. We've slipped at the day's lowest levels. We're below that 24,100 mark is what we are looking at, 24,055. in trade and the pressure building up as well. But overall, if you have to look at in terms of what's happening in the markets and what should one do, Dhananjay Sinha, CEO and co-head of institutional equities at Systematic Group, joins in. Mr. Sinha, good afternoon and welcome to the show. Always a pleasure to speak to you. My question coming to you is, in this kind of a market, how are you looking at investments? Would you say this is the time to probably book profits where you're seeing that kind of surge, or is it more of a buy on dips market?
So I think if you look at the markets post the war, I think there was some recovery and all. But I think it's kind of a fairly sideways market, and I don't think the market sentiment has any directional, setup at this juncture. So I would say that people are sort of looking at sector rotation and bottom-up approach. I think the mid-cap space is actually rebounded more strongly than the headline Nifty or benchmark indices. So I think people are looking at specific sectors and stocks. I would say I think from a fundamental standpoint, at the current levels, people are looking at what the earnings trajectory would be for the coming quarter. So the result season is likely to start again. So I think people are looking for what the management guidance will be. I think broadly with the management discussions that we've had recently in our conference, where we had sort of invited almost like 30 founders and CEOs, essentially people are cautious about the near term, whereas they're kind of guiding for a high double-digit growth kind of a scenario. That's a hope, but we'll need to see how the results pan out. I think investors are generally cautious from a earnings guidance standpoint. So I think that's an important thing. I would say from a positive standpoint, the market is also looking at the fact that crude oil prices have come down after the whole hope that has built up after this ceasefire that's there between US and Iran. I think that's one thing that is on the positive side. And secondly, the market would also be looking at what kind of fund flows would happen through the RBI announced to shore up for reserves. So I think these are the couple of things that people are looking at. But my own is that irrespective of these developments, the market is kind of consensus
exactly
on
right, Dhananjay. That's an interesting take coming in. But joining us, we are having Amardev Singh, Senior Vice President of Research at Angel One. Good afternoon, Amar. It's always a pleasure to have you with us. But looking at the markets, a profit booking kind of coming, just ahead of the long weekend. Let's just pull out both Nifty, Nifty Bank. What are the key levels to watch out for both of these indices, Amar?
Yeah, thank you for having me. So basically, if you look at Nifty, Nifty has been struggling to sustain over the 24,000 levels, which is, however, it's managing today to sustain. But I would say that Nifty, for any meaningful upside rally, it needs to sustain above the 24,200, 24,400 zone. That's a very critical and important zone. However, one positive which I see in Nifty is that some of the indicators from an intermediate term perspective have turned positive after almost 20-25 weeks. So that effectively tells me is that if Nifty is able to sustain the 24,200, 400 zone, which is very critical, then we could see a further rebound in Nifty towards 24,800 odd levels. Otherwise, we could witness some consolidation. Yes, on the downside, Nifty is very strongly protected on the lower side towards the 23,700, 800 zones. This is this zone of 500, 600 points, which is very critical for Nifty in the short term. And if I look at Bank Nifty, however, has been outperforming because we've seen that in some of the private banks as well. And Bank Nifty is stronger, poised to stay strong. And I would say that on the upside, Bank Nifty could meet with resistance on the upside towards 59,500, 60,000. So there is scope of 1,500 points of rally in Bank Nifty going forward as well. Whereas on the downside, it is very strongly supported somewhere around the 57,000 odd levels.
So these are the important levels to track. But going ahead, Amazon CEO Andy Jassy met PM Narendra Modi today to discuss what's ahead for Amazon in India. Listen in to what he had to say post the meeting.
Prime Minister's vision over the last 12 years is just remarkable. And you can see it in the development of the country and how important the country is in almost every aspect around the world. And when I have the good fortune to spend time with him, he has so many ideas for how to continue to make the country better on every dimension that it's very noteworthy, it's very remarkable, and it's impressive. We've invested $40 billion in India since the year 2010. And then at the end of last year, we announced that we were going to invest another $35 billion in India between 2026 and 2030. And we just announced today that we're going to increase that amount from $35 billion to an incremental $48 billion of investment between 2026 and 2030. And a fair amount of our investment is in our marketplace business, but the incremental $13 billion we announced today is focused on cloud and AI. India is becoming such a significant cloud and AI hub around the world, and we have so much demand here that we're continuing to invest in the country on the cloud side and the AI side as well. We've accounted for roughly 2.8 million direct and indirect jobs in the country, as of 2024, and we're hoping to make that number more like 3.8 million by the end of 2030.
That's interesting to see what Amazon is actually looking at in terms of where Indian markets go. Increasing investment, Sharad, is absolutely interesting. But what happens with Amazon now versus competition is the key.
And it's a very big thing. There was a negative reaction also last trading session.
Absolutely. In fact, let's actually head across to my colleague, Mahima, who's actually comparing this for us with regards to what happens if you have to compare incumbents like Blinkit, Zepto, Instamart, and all of them are pretty much deeper right now in terms of their dark store networks, and the supply density is also stronger. Over to you, Mahima, to take us through this quick commerce battle.
Right, so, it's both sides of the game, right? There is competition increasing, but there are some areas where there is still advantage that Blinkit, Instamart, etc. have. So I'll, take you through one by one each. Now, if you take a look at how Amazon Now and Flipkart Minutes has been scaling up. Amazon Now has said that they want to get to 100 cities and 1,000 dark stores in the near-term future. They will have the widest selection and fastest delivery speed in near future. The business is growing 25% month-on-month basis, and they've also announced investment of around 2,800 crore to expand. They want to, pierce into the tier 2, tier 3 cities, and they're going to invest around $35 billion in the next 5 years in India. Flipkart Minutes has also said that the quick commerce has scaled to 1,000 dark stores since the launch in 2024. Flipkart Minutes order has grown 5x from previous year, and quick commerce is now 130 plus cities. They are also targeting the tier 2, tier 3 cities. Now the threat assessment. Now, can this hurt market shares or top line and profits for something like a Zepto, Blinkit or Instamart? Now, what is happening is that most of these players are targeting the same consumer base, at least in tier 1 and tier 2 cities. So that's where the real competition is, and that's where market shares could be lost. The second fact is that Amazon Now and Flipkart Minutes are playing the discount game. They're giving the highest possible discounts amongst all of these players, and they're burning cash on the back of that. And this is for the customer acquisition that they're doing. Both challenges are explicitly targeting smaller cities. So both challengers, that is Amazon Now and Flipkart Minutes, are doing that, smaller cities, and what they're doing is they're targeting tier 2, tier 3 and tier 4 cities where they can go ahead and expand, where there is lesser presence for something like a Blinkit or Zepto. Now, where the threat is limited, one, dark stores, because Flipkart Minutes is around 1,000 stores, Amazon anywhere between 350 to 40 to 450 or dark stores, Blinkit as high as over 2,200 dark stores, right? Plus the cost flow problem. So quick commerce cost structure is, the hard floor is of around 98 to 100 rupees per order right now. So if Amazon and Flipkart is using higher discounts, that means higher cash burn for them. So that is going to be one problem where, they could see cash burn, and that could be an area where it is difficult for them to compete, but at the same time they've got a wider range of assortment that could benefit them. For Zepto, the density game is much an interesting aspect to look at, because Zepto has made deliberate choice to go deep rather than wide. So they have around 21 stores per city, more than 2 times the 9 stores per city for both Blinkit and Instamart, and this density directly translates into faster delivery and promises and lower cost per order. So that's where Zepto has its advantage, which we'd have to see as to how Amazon and Flipkart could compete to. And lastly, in terms of Blinkit and Instamart, they've sustained their runway. So Eternal is sitting on cash of around 17,800 odd crore, Swiggy around 15,900 odd crore, but Zepto not so much. And both the way Amazon now and Flipkart Minutes have been burning cash, it could be difficult for them to sustain those cash levels. So that's something that we'll have to watch out for. Enough, of course, for Blinkit and Instamart, it's enough cash flow for them to sustain for the next 3 odd years. So that's something that we'll have to wait and watch out for to see as to how that takes place. So this is the overall view of how competition has been panning out in quick commerce space.
Thanks a lot, Mahima, for that interesting analysis. But coming back to the markets, Amardev, I just wanted to ask, your technical picks, or let's say the BTST picks, we are at that time of the day now, what would it be?
So the first stock to look at is Ashok Leyland. So if we look at Ashok Leyland, clearly it is showing some signs of momentum built up. So this is one stock one can look at, buying at the current levels, that's around 160, because the stock has corrected significantly. It's in for some consolidation, and after consolidation, it's now inching up higher. So this is one stock one can look at, buying at the current levels with a stop loss of 147, and then upside target of 179.
Okay, so that's with regards to where Ashok Leyland goes as well. But moving on, your gold financiers are absolutely in focus. Your CSB Bank, you look at a Muthoot, Manappuram. Let's pull up all the 3 counters on the screens and see what's happening. Manappuram, though, is trying to get and recover in trade. Muthoot Finance is another one that you should be watching out for, along with the CSB. Muthoot almost at the day's lowest levels, and a CSB likewise. Let's pull up a 5-day chart as well of all the 3 counters, because that will also tell you with gold prices receding, you are seeing that impact come in over there. From highs, you've seen that downtake that has come in on a Manappuram as well, absolutely flat in the last 1 week. 5% downtick coming in for a Muthoot. In fact, lenders in India are registering a sharp growth in gold loan portfolio. That's what the business is looking like, and this was only because of the 65 to 80% rise in the precious metal prices. Now, they are looking to grow the share of secured retail asset book as well. Piyush joins us with more details. Piyush, good afternoon. This is an interesting story. We've picked up this at a time where now your gold prices have started to come off. So the question is, with everything that you've picked up so far on this entire segment, what happens next as well? Over to you.
Right. So there was this very interesting report by Experian India. It showed that around 45% of the incremental retail credit which is coming is just from gold loan segment. Gold loans now they are outpacing all other the sourcing wise. Banks, NBFCs are increasingly sourcing gold loans. Banks' portfolio, gold loan portfolio is up around 121% year on year to 4.88 lakh crore. Overall, the overall lenders gold loan portfolio is at around 19.4 lakh crore, which has more than doubled in the last 1 year alone. Around 5.09 crore gold loan applications were sourced in Q4 FY26 itself, which is higher than 3.7 crore a year ago. Essentially, you asked about what will drive the next phase of growth. We are aware now the pickup that we saw was essentially on back of higher gold prices, but now the next phase of growth will come because of the newer entrants, big NBFC entrants in the gold loan space. For example, L&T Finance has said it will open 400 new gold loan specific branches in the FY27. Bajaj Finance said it will grow its gold loan share in overall AUM to 5% from 3.5%. Now Piramal Finance is saying it will launch 180 gold loan branches alone in FY27. So yes, NBFCs are now gaining the market share from private banks. Public sector banks are expecting expected to drive the next phase of growth in gold loans. And on average, the ticket sizes are also increasing, and the RBI has come out with refined guidelines which suggest proper LTV ratios for different ticket sizes. So the newer entrants, the bigger entrants, the NBFCs will drive the next phase of growth. Back to you.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Dhananjay, any view that you have in terms of gold financiers? We're pretty much at the lag end of the show, so quick one on that.
So I think, gold prices are actually very important for the gold lending sector. So there has been a significant growth, almost like 100% growth in gold loan expansion by banks and NBFCs. But I think at this juncture, the momentum is flagging because the gold price is actually flattening as well. So I would say that best of the gold loan growth is behind, I would say. I would say we need to look at it after a few months. Possibly the gold prices might accelerate furthermore once again. So we'll need to sort of look at it after some point of time. Yeah.
Okay, so that's with regards to gold finances. Amar, from the metal pack, which is seeing profit booking over the last couple of trading sessions, anything that you spot where you could see buying opportunities at lower levels, or are you seeing further downside momentum building up?
I would say that if I look at the metals, definitely we've seen some very sharp correction. If I look at Vedanta, for the month, it's down by almost 23%, but it's approaching very critical and crucial support zone. So there could be a respite from the sharp correction which we have witnessed in most of the metal stocks. And there could be some pullback, but the pullback is likely to be temporary, because what's happening here is that the structure has changed for most of these metal stocks. So clearly, one thing is very clear, that the tops have been made, and that's not going to be breached in a hurry. And on the downside, for example, Tata Steel is concerned somewhere around the 180 zone is a very crucial and important zone of support. It's currently around 188 levels. So there could be some pullback from those levels, but again, 200, 205 would be the zone of resistance. So most of the metal stocks are now going to get into the consolidation mode.
Okay, that's the interesting take coming in. And also Incred is turning on the cautious on aluminium, now expecting prices to correct towards $2,100 a ton. The brokerage believes China's growing scrap supply and a Middle East easing its risks could rewrite the metals bullish narrative. Parth is here with us with more details. Parth?
Right, Sharad. So Incred has maintained a sell rating on the aluminium sector, and they are expecting the aluminium price to correct up to $2,100 per ton. Now, the stock impact, if this happens, then they've said that in terms of Nalco, they have maintained a reduced rating, as the EV by EBITDA metric of the stock could rise from 5.3 times right now to 9 times if aluminium prices correct by this amount of $800 per ton. Then second one is Hindalco, where they have again given a reduced rating as the EV by EBITDA might rise from 6.9 times currently to almost 10. And thirdly, in Vedanta Aluminium, they don't have a rating as of yet, but they also expect a similar trend here with EV by EBITDA rising from 5.4 times currently to 12.2 times, which is a massive valuation. Now, the reason why Incred is bearish right now is because they are seeing metals, especially aluminiums, are pricing in persistent deficits in their supply because of the disruptions that we saw in Middle East. But actually, that is not the case. The growing scrap availability in China can offset these supply shortages. Also, the risk premium that we saw due to those Middle East tensions is now starting to unwind because as the disruptions are easing in right now. To understand the scrap game even more, around 80% of all the aluminium products manufactured have the potential to recycle. This recycling consumes 95% lesser energy than producing newer aluminium products. And secondly, also the secondary aluminium is already 35% of the global supply. So China is right now importing a lot of scrap and then recycling it domestically to reuse that aluminium instead of importing the metal again and again. So the key things to watch going forward will be the China's import of scrap and also the Middle East tensions. If everything settles down, then Incred's view on aluminium can be proven right.
Thanks a lot, Parth, for that interesting analysis. Amar, just a quick view on the metals. Of course, we have been seeing that negative sentiment all across. Do you think more sell-off can happen? And if yes, out here any short positions can be made, or are you a value buyer here?
So if I look at the metal stocks, as I've said, we've seen some very sharp correction in those metal stocks. And we were talking about earlier about aluminium. So yeah, there has been a sharp sell-off there, but aluminium is approaching to very crucial support zone. So I would say that at the current levels, maybe or a slightly 2 to 5% lower, that's a buying opportunity rather than going short at the current levels.
Okay, I know metals pack is something that you're watching out for, but IT as a space is also very interesting. Dhananjay, any view when you look at IT as a sector, because there is pressure. However, valuations are cheap, and you have Oracle Financial Services, which has been bucking the trend in terms of the overall sector.
So I think by and large there has been an overhang in the on the sector for quite some time. I think over the last 5 years it's been a major underperformer. In the context of what is happening globally with respect to AI stocks, and there is certain amount of jitteriness as far as the AI stocks is concerned. We have seen that in the US and other places as well. So I think any dislocations out there can have a ramification for the IT sector in terms of their sentiment. I think notwithstanding the fact that these stocks are cheap from a historical standpoint, I think there is still a downside risk given the global context that is evolving.
All right, thank you for that. In fact, Jasmeet, you've actually analyzed Oracle Financial Services as well as to why that stock has been bucking the trend. What are you picking up in terms of your analysis?
Well, Hiral, thank you for that. As rightly said, Oracle is a company which is going against the tide. It's swimming across the tide. If you look at the overall IT pack, which is tanking in trade, but Oracle is a company that has been gaining considerably. Like over the last year, IT has lost nearly 30-odd%, but over the last year itself, Oracle is up nearly 15-odd%. And over the last 3 months, Oracle has really rallied a lot. It's about 58-odd% in trade. Well, here are the top 5 key reasons why we are seeing Oracle running in gaining in it compared to the IT company. Well, the first one is Oracle is a product-led business, unlike other IT service companies. So majority of the revenue, that nearly 90-odd% comes from the product business for Oracle. And further, if you look at the margins, the company does have huge margins at nearly 49-odd% when compared to IT pack, which is nearly 10 to 12-odd%. Well, the second reason is the overall business which they do. They have a lot of repeat business where the clients don't generally change the end supplier. But unlike IT companies where they have to win the order, that becomes a key concern to watch out for, though the ramp up becomes a little slower. But look at the third reason, the overall core banking is a platform for the company which has a lot of AI embedded in them, which is a key positive given that a lot of banks don't generally change the banking software given the formalities, and also Oracle as a company has a big ecosystem. So Oracle Financial Service just fits right in the entire ecosystem. When you look at the last one, the company does have a record order book of nearly 7,000 odd crore, which is giving a huge visibility going ahead. Now we have a quick comparison between IT companies, Oracle companies, how they're different and how well they're doing in trade. Well, if you look at the business model, as I already mentioned, it's a product-led business for something like an Oracle, but IT companies run a service and consulting-based system. We look at the revenue model. Oracle earns majority of the revenue from licensing and maintenance, which is a repeat revenue, which is a key positive. But unlike for IT companies, they will have to win projects for every time the projects get delayed, or they'll have to win the projects. That's the second one. Well, the third one is the revenue visibility. While the company has high recurring revenues, and visibility becomes way clearer compared to IT companies. While the AI impact, well, Indian IT companies are still catching up with the AI to apply to the services. But Oracle has the AI embedded in the software itself, so which is a key positive for the company. We look at the other key aspect in terms of the manpower. In case they want to scale up the products, it's their software which they're selling, so they need not hire more employees to scale up. They can just increase their sales. But on the other hand, IT services, to increase the revenue, will have to hire more employees, which will end up impacting the margins eventually. We look at the other key aspect, the scalability, as we spoke about, and lastly, the operating margins, which are higher for 49% Oracle, but for IT companies between 10 to 15%. So these are the key reasons why Oracle is buzzing in trade compared to other IT pack.
All right. Thank you so much, Jasmeet, for that. This is a very interesting one to watch out for. But thank you, gentlemen, for joining in. I think we'll thank all our technical and fundamental guests as well on the show, because towards the last 2 minutes, you're seeing a closure. Markets almost given up all the gains. We are at the day's lowest levels as we speak. 24,052 is what you're tracking. Let's just pull up the intraday chart to look at Nifty 50, and then we'll look at Bank Nifty as well. There you go. almost at the day's lowest level, 24,050. I think 30 points above is what you're looking at. You've given up those gains from the highest levels. Let's pull up Bank Nifty on the screens as well and see what's happening with Bank Nifty. A very similar chart is what you're seeing in terms of Bank Nifty as well. In terms of Nifty 50 contributors, that is going to be interesting to understand which are the names that has pulled the markets lower. There you go. Bharti Airtel, and this is coming in spite the S&P upgrade that we saw on a Bharti Airtel. Infosys is another one from the IT pack. Hindalco. These are the ones which are contributing. However, if you have to look at gainers, it's mainly your ICICI Bank from the banking space, M&M, Maruti contributing to the kind of gains, and Indigo. That's keeping it evens and stevens in today's session. Let's look at the heat map in terms of Nifty 50, and then we'll look at the advanced decline ratio as well as to how that has contributed so far. In terms of the heat map, you have in fact the ones which were losing out, that list has widened a little more as compared to where we started off India market close. But Indigo continues to rule. You have a M&M Maruti which is up in trade. You have Max Healthcare from the pharma pack, which has continued to stay in the positive. Few of the consumption names, Tata Consumer, Nestle has climbed up as well. Dr. Reddy, Shriram Finance, Bajaj Auto and SBI is what is looking good. But ONGC, Hindalco, these were there. You have Tech Mahindra from the IT space, Infosys, which has led the markets lower as well with their overall contribution. Let's look at the sectoral heat map and then we'll look at the broader markets in terms of closure. Sectorally as well, auto again continues to be the top winner along with consumption, but that consumption pack also has come off slightly in the last 1 hour. You have metals, which has been a downer, along with oil and gas and IT and defense. In fact, for the week as well, IT has been one of the losing sectors, as we see along with the energy index. Let's look at the advanced decline ratio, and we will left the broader markets as well as we close. If you see in terms of the advanced decline ratio, there you go. The mouth has opened wider. Your declines 1700. We started off at around 1600 odd declines, but that has, so we are almost double in terms of the declines versus the advances. And if you have to look at the broader markets as well, pressure has continued at the day's lowest levels on the mid-cap and small-cap. Clearly, we've seen profit booking in today's session on the back of the long weekend, and you're talking about the Sensex monthly expiry as well. So that's what has led to a closure around that 24,052 mark as well. But completely out of time. Thank you, viewers, for watching. A thank you from Sharad, the team that put the show together, and myself on India Market Close. In fact, lots more lined up on the other side. Please stay tuned and happy long weekend.
India Inc.'s most respected.
Hello and welcome to NDTV Profit. You're tuned in to Crypto Minutes powered by CoinSwitch for your daily dose of news and updates from the crypto world with me, Sharad Dubey. Let's take a look at the top headlines. Crypto markets fall on Bitcoin-led sell-off. CBOE weighs perpetual Bitcoin Ether futures. Digital Euro passes key parliamentary vote. Bally Gifford launches UK's first native tokenized fund. Well, those were the top crypto headlines at this hour, and how you should navigate your digital assets, managing your risk and spotting the next big trend. Let's hear it from Ashish Singhal. He's the co-founder and CEO at CoinSwitch on how Indian investors are maturing and what makes it to their radar.
I think Indian investors, especially in the crypto sectors, have evolved a lot. Earlier, you will see that in 2020, once the RBI ban got reverted by the Supreme Court, a lot of retail users shows the enthusiasm to get into the market. These were, first-time crypto investors learning about crypto. Crypto market was in a bull cycle, so a lot of users came in with the intent to make money in the market and kind of knew crypto to an extent, but didn't understand it fully, right? The market was good, so everyone just jumped in, right? But over the last, 4-5 years, what has happened is the market has matured a lot. Today, we not only see retail investors, we see businesses, we see HNIs, we see family offices now, allocating to crypto as well. Almost 2 to 6% we have seen people allocating their portfolio into crypto. The question which used to be asked earlier that, is crypto a good investment for me, has changed totally to how much of my portfolio should be in crypto, right? So the question of whether crypto should be an asset class has gone away, and it has now become how much of a crypto a person should own, how much of a crypto portfolio should an individual or a family office should own, right? So from the maturity standpoint, it has evolved a lot. Even retail users within the ecosystems have matured, understood that it's not a short-term investment, and it's a long-term investment.
That's pretty interesting. Time now to track how the investor behavior has changed over time. Here is his take when it comes to how that trajectory has shaped up.
So if you look at, early 2020, so a lot of investors didn't really understand crypto that much. They saw that, there is a new market that is coming in. Since, till 2020, they couldn't really get into crypto while the entire world was getting into crypto, mashed by, the COVID, due to which all financial assets were doing very well. They got into the crypto with an idea to make money faster, right? But over time, they understood the value of crypto. They understood how blockchain really changes the dynamics, how tokenization make, any financial asset easy to invest in, but also make it auditable, it make it trustworthy, and increases the participation of the entire ecosystem, right? So they've seen the value of blockchain delivering across the financial ecosystem, and that's where the trust on the ecosystem has gone up. Even when, today the markets are down, we see a lot more people doubling down on crypto, averaging their cost and making sure that they are here for the long run. And what they used to do earlier, invest a lot in, smaller coins, meme coins. I think the trends are changing now. People are trusting Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, like top tier A coins much more than, the middle tier or the lower tier coins, right? So the intent is very clear. They users want to invest in what has already been proven in crypto. Their psyche is not just about making money in the short run, but also how do they consistently allocate their portfolio and build for the long run and make crypto a long-term investment rather than a short-term investment in their portfolio.
So that's an important takeaway coming in from Ashish. But as we wrap, remember, you can reach out to CoinSwitch's dedicated helpline where anyone can connect with in-house experts to get their queries resolved. Whether it's about crypto, regulations, taxation, or the broader industry, the team is available to provide guidance and help users make informed decisions. Well, that's all on this edition of Crypto Minutes on CoinSwitch. Thank you so much for tuning in.
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार विमल बोलो जुबान केसरी
India Inc.'s most respected names chose India Inc.'s best and brightest.
I'm delighted to be chairman of such distinguished fellow businessmen, bankers. It's just lovely to be back on this NDTV jury. I have been a fan of NDTV for a long time.
Many of the nominees are extremely close together in terms of what they've done.
Gender parity to be reflected while we choose leadership as well.
It's also important that how they are reshaping the industries.
We got a fantastic jury and we've left all decisions to the wisdom of the jury.
Who will earn India's top business honors? Find out at the NDTV Profit Business Leadership Awards. India's unshakable news habit. NDTV.com is India's #1 English news website.
I'm Tamanna Inamdar. Watch me on NDTV Profit, where I break down the day's biggest business stories. What happened, why it matters, and what it means for your money.
Hi, I'm Neeraj Shah. Watch me on NDTV Profit for the most incisive market intelligence and meaningful corporate conversations.
And I'm Alex Matthew. Markets, mutual funds, insurance, personal finance. I help you cut through the noise and make smarter financial choices. And here's where you can watch us.
Welcome to what is going to be a very exciting show. The Business Leadership Awards are back after a 13-year hiatus on NDTV Profit, and on the 26th of July, we will honor India's finest business minds. They will all come together to choose the leaders who are shaping the country's future. Guys, you know what's so exciting about the Business Leadership Awards and the way we managed to put it all together is the stellar jury who's come on board. And in the jury rounds that we had with Sunil Bharti Mittal, Noel Tata, and that exemplary jury, it was clear that their attention to detail is so focused. The questions they asked us was amazing.
Give us a snippet of that, though. What are some of the questions that you got?
So, for example, on methodology, for example, on are there any past reputational risks for the nominees, all of that. But this is going to be an exciting show because we're going to hear for the first time who the nominees are.
Yes, indeed. And we are going to hear the nominees, but also just the other aspect that the nature of the jury and the combination of the jury, Tamanna, spans across business experience, nation building experience, and so much more. So in some sense...
Markets.
And markets, yeah. So fairly power-packed.
Yeah, so let us tell you a bit about the Business Leadership Awards before we unveil who the nominees are in all the categories, because this is going to be truly exciting. The Business Leadership Awards, of course, felicitates the brightest minds in business in India, those who've really moved the needle over the last year. And chairing our jury is Sunil Bharti Mittal, founder and chairman of Bharti Enterprises, the man who built a telecom empire that connected 1 billion Indians. It's not just him. Noel Tata, chairman of Tata Trusts, is on the jury. Cyril Shroff, managing partner at Cyril Amarchand Mangaldas. Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw, chairperson at Biocon Group. UK Sinha, former chairman at SEBI. Jayant Sinha, president at Everstone Group and visiting professor at the London School of Economics. He's also, of course, former union minister at finance and civil aviation. Ramesh Damani, value investor and member of BSE. C.S. Sethi, chairman of State Bank of India, was also there. Our partners and non-voting member was Sanjeev Krishan, chairperson PwC India. They've been our partners in everything that we've done. And of course, Rahul Kaval, CEO and editor-in-chief, NDTV Group. Just, to your question about some of the kind of questions we got, first of all, what was amazing is to get that kind of a jury and sync their calendars. Some of them were in different parts of the globe. They came on, and very pertinently, why this one, why not that one? Why this kind of a methodology, why not that? And it was after agreement that we came to this, which is why it's so important to understand how we've done this in a transparent manner to really honor the best of the best.
So actually, just before we get to the nominations, what is the one defining factor of these awards for each of us? And Tamanna, let me start with you. What is that one defining factor that makes the original Business Leadership Awards truly different?
So, for me, it is that we removed subjective opinion out of it as much as possible, because that's what happens with these awards, right? You wonder, why has someone been given an award? It is based on data. There's credible data. We've gone back, we've looked at the data, we've crunched it that way. And we've had a partner with the caliber of PwC who's put their stamp on it. So the last thing that should come to mind is why this one and why that one. Is just the data doing all the talking.
And for me, it was all kind of categories: contemporary, traditional, as well as what is futuristic. So in some sense, I think we've been able to cover almost all aspects, if not all aspects, of what business leadership should be about.
And you're trying to award someone who really deserves it, because as Tamanna was mentioning, the methodology where it's given weightage to what really deserves it. I mean, it's not a methodology that has fitted all the categories together. Every category has a different kind of a methodology that has been used.
Yeah, and for me, I think more than anything else, at a time when we're talking about AI adoption, one of the categories captures that in a very interesting manner, and what went into the selection of these people actually stood out to me.
Should we get to the awards then? Yes. Should we get to the nominations?
Yes, we should. This is the exciting thing. People have been asking, who are the nominees? Well, why don't you start it off?
Yeah, let me unveil. And it's apt that the first category is the business leader, who's the AI champion, a category that goes beyond numbers, because this is a qualitative call on the most impactful AI players today, from large language models to the infrastructure powering AI and companies scaling real world applications. We captured the full stack. The idea is simple: who is building, who is enabling, and who is delivering AI at scale. These are the names defining the next phase of the AI revolution. And the nominees are Sarvam AI, building India's answer to global AI giants. NESA, creating the critical GPU infrastructure powering the nation's next generation of AI innovation. Fractal Analytics helps place Indian AI expertise on the global map through innovation-led problem solving. Cure AI, using AI to detect disease before symptoms become fatal. And Karya, building an ethical model that empowers underserved communities while creating high-quality AI training datasets. And Emergent, redefining how applications are built in the era of autonomous AI. Well, guys, you need look no further.
How exciting was this? I must say, this is one place where the jury really did a lot of deliberation and discussion, and it was eye-opening for us to see that those at the top of the ladder of corporate India are so clued in to what is going on in the world of AI, to be able to differentiate between claims of AI and actually doing something.
That is the point, and that's what I want to know, because you've been part of this as well. You heard some of that deliberation. I'm most curious to understand, a lot of companies are trying to rubber stamp AI and saying, we're also doing AI. So what were the kind of questions that were asked to say, these are the guys that need to be in that room and in contention?
So a lot of scrutiny, and in this one category, I must say, something that went into it is also looking at the impact of that innovation. AI is right now over the world being looked at through the lens of profitability, and that's important. But impact, Atmanirbharta, what it's doing for the country was also definitely in play.
And it's not directly that it's all our LLMs only, right? There are a couple of companies who are looking at AI which could be an overlap on the LLM, which is more beneficial as well. And that's what India is all about right now in terms of the addition, the third wheel, you could say right now, that in terms of AI that India becomes.
Which slice of the cake,
which
right?
slice
As
of the
called.
cake? Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's more qualitative right now in terms of where AI as a category goes. But the next one is very interesting. We're talking about the next category, which is all about Atmanirbharta. It's awarded to an enterprise that has strengthened India's self-reliance by building indigenous manufacturing, deep tech capability, healthcare, or industrial independence. In fact, reducing import dependence is also one of the criteria here, and establishing a globally competitive Made in India excellence brand. And the nominees for these are, the first one, ONGC, Tata Electronics, HAL, Dr. Reddy's, and Wockhardt from the pharmaceutical space.
You know, this is. I just want to say a word about this category because Neeraj, you asked in the beginning that what sets this apart, and when the NDTV team came together to think about what is differentiating in the Business Leadership Awards, it is to underline this, the need of the hour for this nation and those that have served that need. So which is why this becomes a very, very important category.
Yeah, particularly what is happening in defense and otherwise. But it's not just defense. That's the one that everyone focuses on, but what's beyond that is
but even
important.
in pharmaceuticals, the fact
we are innovating.
The fact that we have those who have crossed new bridges and broken ceilings in innovations in pharmaceuticals, that makes it so exciting.
Yeah, and that story that has emerged over the course of the year to say that India is not just the manufacturer of pharmaceuticals, it's actually at the cutting edge of developing new formulations that is changing the landscape for how India is viewed in the pharmaceutical industry. But moving on to the next category, this is the Business Leader of the Year in the public sector space. The evaluation begins with the top 100 companies by market capitalization as of the 30th of April 2026. Forming the screening universe is, of course, from each of those, you have companies that are assessed on 5 equally weighted parameters. You're ensuring a balanced view on growth, scale, market performance, and these include revenue compounded annual growth rate, profit growth rate, price performance, along with average revenue and average profit, with each metric carrying a 20% weight. And all those calculations are based on a 3-year period. And the framework actually ensures that we recognize consistent performers in the public sector that are delivering both financial strength and shareholder value. And these are the nominees. From strengthening India's maritime capabilities to building a globally respected shipbuilding enterprise, this nominee has steered a strategic national champion to new heights. Captain Jagmohan, the Chairman and Managing Director of Mazgon Dock Shipbuilders. The next one is equally interesting, leading one of India's energy giants through a period of transformation, growth, and evolving consumer demands. This nominee has balanced scale with strategic vision. Manoj Jain, the Chairman and Managing Director of BEL. Revitalizing cornerstone of India's industrial ecosystem. This nominee has championed execution excellence as well as renewed growth. K. Sadasivan Murthy, the Chairman and Managing Director of BHEL. Driving the transition from power generation leader to energy transition champion. This latest nominee is helping shape India's energy future. Gurdeep Singh, the Chairman and Managing Director of NTPC. At the helm of India's energy exploration, this nominee has led with resilience, scale, and strategic foresight in a rapidly challenging and changing global landscape. Arun Kumar Singh, the Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of ONGC. What a lineup.
You know, so just want to talk a bit about why we have a separate category of business leaders for public sector and for private sector, because we have a specific methodology, right? And market cap is a big part of it. We also have to recognize the role of public sector enterprises and what they've done, not just for investors, but for the economy and how they've zoomed ahead. So which is why we have those two categories. A lot of exciting ones coming up. And the next one that I'm talking about in revealing the economies is one which has been hitting the headlines. This category of leaders have been hitting the headlines more often than not. This is the new economy leaders category. For this, we pick companies that were listed between April 1st, 2021 and March 31st, 2023. The new age names that have been tested in public markets is how we have raised that bar. The evaluation uses a balanced, data-driven framework with equal weight across 5 parameters, which are revenue growth, profit growth, stock price performance, average revenue, and average profit, each accounting for 20%. All metrics are calculated over 2024, 2025, and 2026. Now just look at what you're seeing on your screen. 2026 has been given the most weightage, then 2025, and then 2024. The reason for this is to also identify leaders or companies that have performed well more recently. So it's not just debut momentum, but sustained performance across growth scale and market returns that we've taken into consideration. Now, having said that, here are the nominees for this category, which is a very exciting one. The first nominee is Eternal, pioneered food delivery and building a multi-vertical consumer internet powerhouse. Policy Bazaar brings transparency to one of India's most complex industries, transforming insurance from a product sold to a decision informed. Nykaa, a category-defining consumer brand, reshaping how millions of Indians discover, shop and engage with lifestyle products. Car Trade, tech streamlined vehicle discovery, transactions and ownership across the automotive ecosystem. Delivery redefined supply chain efficiency through technology, scale, and relentless execution. This is clearly an exciting category, and also recognizes the big change in the way consumers are going out and looking at various services and products.
And a category that took advantage of the Jam Trinity to the fullest, right? I mean, they built out products which are now almost on all of our phones, the apps.
The post-COVID boost also gave them this huge tailwind coming in.
And it's across sectors. I mean, it's not only consumption, which is, okay, you can talk about FMCG, you're talking about the financial side of it as well. You can talk about auto. Every sector has started to build that new age economy now.
And it's also amazing how the behavioral changes of how consumers are consuming all of this is coded into the way that they're doing business.
But tell you what, guys, nothing happens without finance, right? And that's why the next category is so important, right? Onto the financial powerhouse category, the term is perfect. This award recognizes top performers across the BFSI space with a clear split between public and private sector players, and rankings determined within each segment. The evaluation follows uniform data-led framework with equal weight across 5 key parameters. These include revenue compounded annual growth rate, profit compounded annual growth rate, and the stock price performance, along with average revenue and average profit, each contributing 20% to the overall score. The framework ensures fair comparison, identifying institutions that deliver consistent growth, strong profitability, and sustained market performance within their respective segments. Now, having looked at the evaluation methodology, here are the nominees. Punjab National Bank, a banking institution woven into India's economic fabric for more than a century. Indian Bank, combining a strong legacy with disciplined execution. Union Bank of India, with a nationwide footprint and a growing digital presence. Power Finance Corporation, financing the infrastructure behind India's growth story. Canara Bank, one of India's most enduring financial institutions. And you can never take State Bank of India out of the equation, the backbone of India's financial system. Of course, following it is Bank of Baroda, blending global presence with domestic strength. And the nominees for the Financial Powerhouse of the Year in the non-PSU category are Shriram Finance, built on deep customer understanding and an unmatched presence beyond India's metros. BSE, the institution that helped curate India's equity culture. ICICI Bank, a pioneer in modern banking, combining innovation, digital leadership, and financial performance to stay ahead of the curve. Axis Bank strengthens its position as one of India's most dynamic and customer-focused financial institutions. Cholamandalam Investment and Finance built one of India's most respected NBFC franchises, and there's no doubt around that. And Bajaj Finance, redefining consumer finance through innovation, execution, and most importantly, scale. And you can never leave out HDFC Bank, a benchmark for excellence in Indian banking.
So here, once again, just to underline the point that there are two segments to this, PSU and non-PSU, to recognize and highlight the role that PSU wealth creators and financial institutions have come in with, which have just zoomed and are at the forefront. Gone are the days when PSU financial institutions were looked at as laggards in any way.
India Inc.'s most respected names chose India Inc.'s best and brightest.
These kind of awards and jury lineup, you are truly giving it the right weightage.
I think it's heartening to see talent that there is across India Inc.
We should be awarding companies and individuals who have focused not only on growth but also on bringing good governance.
Be part of jury and vote on the people, the men, the women, the companies in India who have the right stuff is a great opportunity for us.
For us, the biggest thing is trust. That's what we provide.
We need leaders in India that can help take India being a global superpower.
We've got a fantastic jury and we've left all decisions to the wisdom of the jury.
Who will earn India's top business honors? Find out at the NDTV Profit Business Leadership Awards. India's unshakable news habit. NDTV.com is India's #1 English news website. India Inc.'s most respected names chose India Inc.'s best and brightest.
I'm delighted to be chairing a committee of such distinguished fellow businessmen, bankers.
You cannot really ignore the investors here, right? I mean, this is a category which is actually something which will be watched out by investors because these are the wealth creators. Yes, the next category is the wealth creators category. This one actually tracks companies that have consistently delivered both growth and shareholder returns. We've actually filtered for businesses with a minimum 5-year listing track record, revenues above 2,000 crores, and the ranking is balanced but clearly market-driven, with price performance carrying the highest weight at 50%, while your revenue and profit growth each get 25%. Now, the evaluation period runs from FY22 to FY26, capturing sustained wealth creation over time. So all you long-time investors, wait for the nomination. BSE enables capital formation to create wealth for generations of investors. Transformers and Rectifiers, the company which has transformed engineering expertise into one of the most compelling growth stories. MCX India transformed market participation while delivering exceptional value creation. Himadri Specialty Chemicals, the company has actually leveraged innovation in specialty chemicals and advanced materials. Gallant Ispat, a story of manufacturing scale and disciplined execution that has transformed industrial capability into sustained growth. We have Garden Reach Shipbuilders. They've come ahead and combined strategic national importance with operational excellence. Newland Laboratories built a differentiated pharmaceutical business, creating lasting investor value. This also is very interesting because you're seeing multiple companies from different sectors that have actually created value,
and we
right?
haven't just done, 5-year return and then that's it.
Yeah.
We have added the kind of methodology which makes it an extremely interesting category to see.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see who wins.
All right, so those are, and quite a few of them have been listed for quite some time. But what about the relatively new kids on the block? How much wealth creation have they had? That's up next, the IPO of the year category. That spotlights the most impactful listings of the recent cycle. We're looking at companies that hit the markets between January 1st of 2024 and December 31st of 2025. The evaluation blends both the demand and the delivery, with offer size at 20% institutional and retail appetite accounting for 30%, and market performance taking the center stage. In fact, annualized returns since listing till March 31st, 2026 carries the largest weightage at 50%, making this a true test of post-listing wealth creation. Now, you're probably wondering which of those IPOs that you subscribe to make it to the list. Let's talk about the nominees in this category. Meesho, a listing that showcased the strength of India's digital consumption story and the growing maturity of its startup ecosystem. Grow, bringing one of India's most recognized fintech brands to public markets, this nominee captured the imagination of a new generation of investors. ICICI Prudential AMC, a landmark listing that heightened the rapid evolution and growing importance of India's asset management industry. LG Electronics India, one of the year's most anticipated public offerings, combining global brand with a deep consumer trust in India. Lenskart, a category creator that successfully translated consumer leadership and innovation into a compelling public market debut. HDB Financial, one of the most anticipated public offerings in the financial sector, which brought a scaled lending franchise and deep retail reach to public markets. Tata Capital, a landmark listing from one of India's most trusted business groups. This nominee captured investor attention with its diversified financial services platform and strong growth potential. Exciting, right?
Yeah, completely. You know, what is also exciting about these awards is the differentiated kind of categories that we have seen, right? You've had the Atmanirbhar category. The next one, I think, is such a crucial one from the perspective of a responsibility we all as humans hold, which is to be green champions. And we want to recognize those businesses that have been green champions. This category recognizes companies that are setting the benchmark on sustainability. These are Indian corporates that rank in the top 1% globally in the S&P Global Corporate Sustainability Assessment for 2026. In other words, businesses that are not just delivering growth, but doing it with global leading environmental, social, and governance standards and are environmentally responsible at their very core. So let's take a look at the nominees for this year's Business Leadership Awards. For Green Champion, Lupin has demonstrated that healthcare leadership and environmental responsibility can advance together through measurable, sustainable outcomes. Tech Mahindra, embedding sustainability into every layer of its business while driving responsible growth across global technology markets. Godrej Consumer Products, combining purpose with performance. This nominee has emerged as a leader in responsible consumer goods manufacturing. Godrej Properties, setting new benchmarks for sustainable urban development while reshaping India's real estate landscape. FastSource Solutions, integrating ESG principles into business strategy and proving that responsible growth can also drive long-term value creation. And the Mahindra Group, a pioneer in sustainable business practices. This nominee continues to lead through innovation, climate action, and measurable impact.
You know why I think this category is as difficult to choose as an AI thing? Because every company is going AI way, every company is going the green way as well. So everybody is doing it and everybody believes they are doing the right thing. To choose from amongst that is such a difficult task. So I love the nominations that have come up.
Yeah, and exciting ones that have come up as well, again, across sectors.
Yeah, most certainly. And well, to the next category, and everybody wants to be that, right? Which is be a reformer. And that's the next category, the Reformer of the Year, celebrating those reformers whose initiatives have led to tangible outcomes, such as accelerated infrastructure development, improved ease of doing business, digital transformation, stronger public service delivery, investment attraction, employment generation, or greater transparency and accountability. At its core, the Reformer of the Year is awarded to a leader whose actions have helped reshape the future trajectory of a state, a sector, or the nation through policy innovation, execution, excellence, and transformation, AI governance, or transformational governance really as a whole. And the nominees for this category are Mr. Ashwini Vaishnav, Union Minister for Railways, Information and Broadcasting and Electronics and IT. He introduced a structured 52 reforms in 52 weeks program to modernize Indian railways with enhanced efficiency, digital services, passenger-centric policies, and cargo logistics reforms. Yogi Adityanath, Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, a prominent political figure and Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh since 2017, becoming the state's longest-serving Chief Minister in modern history. Devendra Fadnavis, Chief Minister of Maharashtra, a seasoned Indian political leader serving his third term as Chief Minister of Maharashtra. As the CM, he has been instrumental in pushing major infrastructure and governance initiatives in Asia's most industrialized state, including advancing transformative projects. And Chandrababu Naidu, Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh, in his current term. Mr. Chandrababu Naidu has positioned Andhra Pradesh around clear development metrics, accelerating industrial investment, improving ease of doing business, and expanding infrastructure-led growth corridors. Himanta Biswa Sarma, the Chief Minister of Assam, the dynamic Chief Minister of Assam, having led the state to a third consecutive electoral win and the second as its Chief Minister. His tenure is marked by bold policy initiatives and administrative reforms that strengthen governance and socio-economic development.
You know, what a crucial category this is. And it also shows that the difference that politics can make in governance and changing and moving the needle for states and at a central level.
You know, whilst we're talking about, everyone who's looking at reforms across, this category is very interesting because they are contributing as well to see how we can actually get everyone at par to some extent. And this is the next category, that is Philanthropist of the Year. This award honors an individual or family house whose philanthropic contribution has delivered measurable, transformative impact across education, healthcare, climate action, civil society, public welfare, and actually demonstrating leadership beyond just profits. Our nominations are Shiv Nadar, donated 2,700 crores and he's topped the Hurun list for the 4th time in 5 years. Azim Premji donated 147 crore rupees through Azim Premji Foundation in FY25. Nandan Nilekani and Rohini Nilekani, they've jointly contributed over 500 crores towards climate, education and civil society. And the young kids on the block, Nitin and Nikhil Kamath, frequently recognized as the youngest philanthropists for their 147 crore rupees contribution through Rain Matter Foundation. Sushmita Bakchi, she gave away 90 crore rupees to healthcare in Odisha. And this category as well, it's interesting to see you just don't have the ones who've been there, right? All your new kids on the block who have been earning that quantum have started contributing, which is a very good sign.
It is. And this is certainly a category to watch out for. And the next category is equally interesting from the perspective of what they've done and the promise that they have going forward. Women leaders who have shaped major sectors of the economy through scale, innovation, and sustained commercial success. And the nominees are Gitanjali Kirloskar, CMD of Kirloskar Systems, a pioneering industrial leader advancing the legacy and future of one of India's great engineering institutions. Roshni Nadar, the chairperson of HCL Tech, represents a new generation of Indian business leadership that combines technological scale, strategic national relevance, and institution building with long-term vision. Falguni Nair, the Chief Executive Officer of Nykaa, a founder who built a multi-billion-dollar consumer brand from the ground up. Malika Srinivasan, CMD of TAFE, a manufacturing leader powering India's agricultural and industrial growth. Vibha Padalkar, the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of HDFC Life, a financial services leader expanding insurance access and strengthening financial security for millions of Indians. Prabha Narasimhan, MD and Chief Executive Officer of Colgate-Palmolive, a trailblazing leader redefining growth and innovation in India's fast-moving consumer goods industry. So it's such a beautiful panel, right? In terms of just the work that they've done, and I think the excitement, like I said at the start, is what they will bring to the table going forward.
Oh, a lot of them have already, been at the top of their game, and it's a recognition that deserves to be there. All right, let's go for the big one. You know, this feels like one of those award functions, and you want to hear the big reveal right at the end.
Where's the drum roll? Cue it.
I think we'll have to do it ourselves. That's the drum roll coming in. Okay, this is the big one. Moving on to the Business Leader of the Year in the private sector. We looked at the top 100 companies by market cap as of April 30th, 2026 as our screening universe. Each company was then evaluated across 5 equally weighted parameters at 20% each, which ensures a balanced view of scale, growth, and market performance. So what are those 5 parameters? Revenue growth, profit growth, stock market performance, along with average revenue and average profit. So each of those parameters holds 20% in those categories. So here you are recognizing the leaders who have taken it forward. Transforming a legacy conglomerate with sharper focus, stronger returns, and disciplined growth. And the nominees for Business Leader of the Year in the private sector are a man who's transformed a legacy conglomerate with sharper focus, stronger returns, and disciplined growth, Dr. Anish Shah of the Mahindra Group. He's driven innovation, global expansion, and EV leadership. K.N. Radhakrishnan has accelerated TVS Motors' growth journey. The architect behind India's retail success story, scaling brands and delivering exceptional growth at Trent, P. Venkatasalu is our next nominee. From cables to electrical leadership, Inder Jayasangani has powered Polycab's rise into an industry powerhouse. And advancing global healthcare through innovation and execution, Vinita Gupta continues to strengthen Lupin's international footprint. He's a visionary who has transformed a homegrown manufacturer into a global mobility powerhouse, Rajiv Bajaj of Bajaj Auto. And steering India's largest car maker through a new era of growth, innovation, and mobility transformation, Hisashi Takuchi of Maruti Suzuki, leading India's engineering giant with scale, ambition, and execution excellence, S.N. Subramanian of Larsen & Toubro. This is the big one and the exciting one. Can't wait to see who wins.
And so difficult to choose. All of them exemplary leaders.
That's the jury's job. They had to ponder over this, so that made our work easy.
Yeah, as also the next one, simply because India is such a great era of astonishing business leaders. So to choose people who are in the category of receiving the Lifetime Achievement Award, guys, I mean, how easy or how difficult it can be, it's left to anybody's imagination, right? It honors, this award, viewers, honors an individual whose leadership, vision, and enduring contribution have fundamentally shaped Indian business, industry, or institution building over multiple decades. This recognition celebrates a legacy that extends beyond commercial success, acknowledging leaders who have created long-term value, influenced industries, built enduring enterprises, inspired future generations most importantly, and contributed meaningfully to India's economic and corporate evolution. And the nominees are A.M. Nayak, Chairman Emeritus of Larsen & Toubro, a visionary industrialist who helped build the engineering backbone of modern India. Kalpana Morparia, distinguished Indian banker, one of India's most respected banking and financial services leaders whose career has been defined by institution building, regulatory depth, and the strengthening of India's corporate and investment banking ecosystem for several decades. Dilip Shanghvi, founder of Sun Pharma, one of the most influential architects of Indian pharmaceutical industry. Arundhati Bhattacharya, President and CEO of Salesforce. Arundhati Bhattacharya, President and CEO of Salesforce South Asia. recognizing her commitment to governance, modernization, and public financial infrastructure. Mr. Harsh Mariwala, founder and chairman of Marico, a visionary entrepreneur who transformed a family business into a global consumer powerhouse. Well, guys, I can't wait for July 26th. It promises to be an evening of spectacular business glamour.
So let me just, as we wrap up this nominee reveal show, let me just leave you with one more reveal which is going to come in the next few days about all of the luminaries who will be attending the show. This is really an exciting one.
Okay.
So wait and watch for that. There are more reveals
somebody that we know?
I think you will.
Oh, okay.
I think you will.
Okay. That's something to look
And what's
look
interesting
forward.
is, I think, the quantum of market cap that's going to be, the diaspora that's going to be present there.
In that room.
Yeah.
No, but it's also exciting because, I think it's about time we recognize the value that this cohort of people bring to the table.
Absolutely.
The passion they have for improving lives and improving what's happening to the nation that they are in. It's truly inspiring to see. So this is just a curtain raiser. There is going to be so much to come over the next few days across the NDTV network. You will see more details about the nominees and the categories that we've laid out for you. Stay tuned to this space for so much more.
India Inc.'s most respected names chose India Inc.'s best and brightest.
I'm delighted to be chairing a committee of such distinguished fellow businessmen, bankers. It's just lovely to be back on this NDTV jury. I have been a fan of NDTV for a long time.
Many of the nominees are extremely close together in terms of what they've done.
I think it's also important that how they are reshaping the industries, commercial activities which they are into. And it's a very judicious mix of people to choose from. My compliments to the team.
Who will earn India's top business honors? Find out at the NDTV Profit Business Leadership Awards. India's unshakable news habit. NDTV.com is India's #1 English news website.
Hi, I'm Tamanna Inamdar. Watch me on NDTV Profit, where I break down the day's biggest business stories. What happened, why it matters, and what it means for your money.
Hi, I'm Neeraj Shah. Watch me on NDTV Profit for the most incisive market intelligence and meaningful corporate conversations.
And I'm Alex Matthew. Markets, mutual funds, insurance, personal finance. I help you cut through the noise and make smarter financial choices. And here's where you can watch us.
Right here on NDTV Profit, a very special guest to talk about a lot of things as the macro issues for India are just receding. Sajid Chinoy, Chief Asia Economic Research at JP Morgan, joins in right now. Sajid, such a pleasure having you, and I hope all is well. Thank you for taking the time out and being with us today.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, no, the pleasure is entirely ours. Now, Sajid, this conversation was long pending, so I'm going to start with the key thing that happened in the last 2 or 3 months. And one could argue that the conflict was the key thing, but one can also argue that in the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks, the response mechanism of the government and the Reserve Bank of India has stood out, right? Now, I read in your in a column that you wrote that the RBI needed to do something, some measures in order to stem the consistent downtick that the rupee was going through. They've done that. The government has played its part as well. Are these stopgap arrangements at best, considering the current issue? And do you think more needs to be done now while the opportunity still presents itself?
Okay, that's a great set of questions to start with. So I think we have to look at this across 2 horizons. A near-term firefighting 3, 6, 9 month horizon, and then a more 3 to 5 year horizon. I think the need of the hour a month ago was to stop the self-fulfilling spiral that the rupee market had gotten into. Now, of course, if you step back, we came into this, the shock, the Middle Eastern shock, on a good wicket when it came to growth and inflation. We were in the middle of a nice cyclical pickup. Inflation had gapped down sharply. So the economy was well positioned to handle this from a growth inflation perspective. Where the weak link was on capital flows, as we've been writing, that essentially as US rates have gone up the last 3 years, capital flows have dried up, especially FDI. So the prospect of a much wider current account deficit because of higher oil prices and the fact that capital flows had dried up meant that the rupee had to be the shock absorber. That was the right thing to do from the central bank and the government's perspective. But when it was the only instrument being deployed, there was a concern that the rupee would need to weaken dramatically to close the BOP gap. That's when weakness begets more weakness. And we saw a situation in the month of April and May when forward hedging began to pick up very sharply. And the worry was that if investors, if corporates, if importers worried about the future value of the rupee, they would begin to hedge their stocks. FDI stocks, ECB stocks, FPI stocks. These are large quantums. Now, when you hedge, you put more pressure on the rupee. And when the rupee weakens more, there's even greater desire to hedge. So that was the self-fulfilling spiral that we got into in March, April, May. And therefore, we had said that what was needed was a circuit breaker. In the event, the RBI provided a bazooka of a circuit breaker. I think the forward swap terms that the RBI provided were much more generous than markets had expected. And so the expectation is over the next 3 months and then over the next year, a large quantum of capital flows can come in because of the inducements that were given. NRI deposits, PSUs borrowing in dollars, and then the hope that by 2027, the fact that withholding taxes have been taken away means India will qualify for the Barclay-Bloomberg index. I'll make 2 quick points. But those flows will come in the coming months. What was needed was to change the market perception. And already we've begun to see that. I'm going to give you 2 data points to support that. When you look at the CCIL data of forward hedging, there's this huge spike that happens in March, April, May. Look at the last 3 weeks, and this is completely unwound. So the measures announced by the RBI were successful in changing market expectations of the rupee, which then become self-fulfilling. That is reflecting in how the rupee is responding to the other big shock. So there's relief from the Middle East and from oil prices, but there are 2 other shocks brewing. The other shock is one of higher US interest rates, where now Fed hikes are back on the table, and we've seen the dollar index being at the highest level in more than a year.
India Inc.'s most respected names chose India Inc.'s best and brightest.
These kind of awards and jury lineup, you're truly giving it the right weightage.
The eminent juries who are here, and that itself speaks for the commitment towards highlighting the advantage which India is having. What I'm looking for in this is that we should be awarding companies and individuals who have focused not only on growth but also on bringing good governance.
Be part of jury and vote on the people, the men, the women, the companies in India who have the right stuff is a great opportunity for us.
Who will earn India's top business honors? Find out at the NDTV Profit Business Leadership Awards. India's unshakable news habit. NDTV.com is India's #1 English news website.
Hi, I'm Tamanna Inamdar. Watch me on NDTV Profit, where I break down the day's biggest business stories. What happened, why it matters, and what it means for your money.
Hi, I'm Neeraj Shah. Watch me on NDTV Profit for the most incisive market intelligence and meaningful corporate conversation.
And I'm Alex Matthew. Markets, mutual funds, insurance, personal finance. I help you cut through the noise and make smarter financial choices. And here's where you can watch us.
The news, Ayush. Since when do we do scripts? Fair point. Picture this. The biggest stage. Floodlights. Wow. 4K. The works. Where's the hook? There's going to be celebrities and guaranteed eyeballs. Where's the hook? Think about this. Front page advertisements and hoardings. Bro, where's the hook? Cross-platform, digital first, virality. Without a hook, no way. The message is clear. It's 2026. You gotta be real in a world of reels. You gotta be original in a world where everything seems generated. That's it. That's what we're...
Hello and welcome to KYC, and you're watching NDTV Profit with me, Sharad Dubey, and this is a very interesting show where we get you the most interesting companies and also the companies which are buzzing as well. But before that, let me give you some hints. Try to guess this company. There are 3 hints which will come on your screen right now. It's a Hyderabad-based packaging company. It's an old listed company, nothing new about it. A company deals with the rigid plastic packaging solutions, and from the March lows itself, we have seen a significant up move coming in. Try to guess it. I'm going to give you some time. Well, yes, the company in focus is Moltec Packaging. This is the company which we are getting in KYC today. But why are we getting this company? That's the big question to be asked. There are a lot of questions there. Of course, recently they had come in a conference also where the bullishness was coming in from the analyst community. But remember the raw material prices, they were at once very high. There's a crude derivative angle as well. Now that has come off. So we'll try to understand the question. What's the margin outlook going ahead? What's the volume growth guidance across various sectors in the company is actually functioning? So we'll try to understand the overall momentum from this space, and of course the client confidence. This is very much important to track. The segmental performances. Are all segments firing cylinders, or is there some drawback? We'll try to get more about that from the management as well. Apart from that, the margins and the revenue outlook for FY27 is something which we'll talk about, and any new strategic tie-up or a new product in which the company is entering, that is where the focus will be. But enough of the questions. Let's try to understand, what's the entire story about Moltec Packaging. Let's start with that. What's about the company? It was established in the year 1986. It's Hyderabad-based company and it was listed also in the year 1993. So pretty old track record which the company is having. It's one of the largest players, you could say, in the rigid plastic packaging industry. And if you look at more details here, they have lubricants, paints, food, and even pharma. So 4 important sectors where the company is focusing on. Looking at the total manufacturing sites, इनके पास लगभग 10 manufacturing sites हैं और 2 stock points हैं. The installed injection molding capacity that comes in at 63,000 tons per annum and 175 plus injection machines. But let's look at the major customers. Customers are pretty big, be it the consumption names and also you could say the pharma names. We have Asian Paints, Castrol, Shell, Mondelez, HUL and even Nestle. These are the important clients for Moltec packaging. So that's pretty much interesting that they have got, you could say, a very strong set of customers, and whenever these customers also move positively, of course the second order effect comes in positively for this company as well. But let's look at the FY26 performance, how things have moved ahead. And looking at it, the EBITDA per kg, that's the operational number to track, that has gone up 8%. And even if you look at the sales volume, that seems to also jump by almost 11.4%. Interesting, right? But let's go a little bit more deep into it. There are 3 segments: paints, lubes and form and fill, FNF as it's called. Largely paints is having 43% revenue contribution coming in, while form and fill is 41%. On the whatever is left, 16% comes from the lube segment. But apart from the revenue breakup, let's look into the revenue growth. What has happened in the 4th quarter? What's the report card stating? Paints is up 24%. FNF segment is up almost 25%, but concern is in the lube segment, that's negative. It's down 9% on a year-on-year basis. But our thesis is what may work for the company. Why are the analysts talking about it? Why are they turning bullish in the recent conference? That's where my interest came in this counter. And you see largely the pharma packaging, that's expected to pick up because a lot of, you could say, inspections are getting over for pharma companies. And once that happens, the second order effect starts coming. ये कंपनी पैकेजिंग बनाती है तो फार्मा प्लेयर्स को अप्रूवल आया और उसके बाद से पैकेजिंग की भी धंधा या ऑर्डर आने लगता है. Better margins because of backward integration, and that's very much important in a packaging segment. There is a capacity consolidation at play as well, little bit of adjustments. So that also boosts, a minor one only, but at positive side for the EBITDA numbers. They are focusing on the new high margin segment, and the volume recovery is also at play for the paint clients. And remember, the paint clients, they are the largest ones, Asian Paints, and we have already seen that there is a minor re-rating already happening for this counter as well. So second order effect does come in for a player like them, but there are some concerns also. It's not all rosy for Moltec packaging, and that's where my concern also rises. There's a cyclical nature of business, so you have to enter or exit at the right time for this industry. Now this is prone to the raw material pricing shocks, और कंपनी के बार्गेनिंग पर उतना ही अच्छा होता है जिस तरह वो प्राइस हाइक्स पास कर सकते हैं. ऑफ कोर्स कंपनी इज अ 40-year-old कंपनी, सो इन दैट वे दे आर वेरी स्ट्रॉन्ग विद द प्राइस हाइक्स. The sector is out of favor on the Lal Street. That's also one concern. So it's a cyclical play, and right now packaging stocks, there isn't much premium being given in the markets for these counters, and my concern comes is there's a lack of analyst coverage also. That's the key, takeaways why the things might not work for the company. But let's try to understand the entire ratings. How do you give a company the ratings? There's income statement, balance sheet, cash flow. ये सब आप देख रहे हैं. ये जो है, these are the core numbers. Also we see the shareholding pattern and also the street trade. Of course we compare the company with the valuations, and I'll tell you one more important thing. That's the outlook. That's one of the most important things to actually track. So let's start with the first one, and that is the income statement. And of course ये numbers जो है हम देखेंगे, largely you see single digit CAGR coming in, revenue, EBITDA, PAT. A little bit of concern definitely comes with the 4th quarter numbers are pretty decent, and the margins उतना ज़्यादा change नहीं होता है. Definitely the company has been able to offset the margin pressure which has come in. So it's largely, I could say, a neutral rating when it comes to the overall margins. But let's talk about balance sheet, what's happening here. And a little bit of concern comes if you're looking at the numbers on your screen, the borrowing numbers, that seems to be a little bit on the higher side. Cash levels is pretty decent. I was just checking the numbers, and the balance sheet management, it seems it's quite decent, but nevertheless it's not very good as well. Concern definitely creeps up. So as of now, right now, net, I'm going to give this a neutral rating when it comes to the balance sheet. Moving on to the cash flow segment, largely it's been pretty decent. Cash flow from operation conversion to PAT, looking at the numbers on your screen, this is where a little bit of strength comes in, but there's a lot of financing and the investing activities happening, and that is why the net cash flow levels you're seeing, this is in single digit right now, so it's a neutral rating as well. But let's move on to the return ratios. That's very much important to understand, and this is where my concern starts coming in. Each year the return ratios are seeing a bigger pressure coming in. Is it because of investments? Is it because of other reasons? That's what we are seeing. But is it bottoming out from FY25 to 26? That's where we'll try to understand. But as of now, it's a thumbs down when it comes to the return ratios. Also, let's talk about the shareholding pattern. कहाँ पे क्या changes आए हैं? Promoter की stake की बात करें तो it's largely flat, nothing much happening. FIs have been reducing it from 14%, you think it's coming down to almost 10%. DIs has been largely flattish in that 20-21% mark. So अभी भी बताएं तो mixed signals आ रहा है. So I'm going to give this a neutral rating as well. Street cred, a little bit of concern. Congratulations if you are a trader or short-term investor. That is where from the March lows itself, the stock is up 48%. But if you're a long-term investor, it seems like you're stuck in the stock. From 20-25 highs, the stock is down 17%. एक साल में stock flat था और 5 साल में सिर्फ और सिर्फ 44% returns आया है अगर आप इसमें निवेश किए हैं. So a little bit of concern definitely comes in when we talk about the street cred. But for short term, money is made. Long term, it hasn't been made. I'm going to give this a neutral rating. Valuations, let's have a look at the variations in the packaging industry. That is where my concern starts coming in, and looks like the company is evenly placed. 12-month trailing P ले लीजिए, 32 times पे Moltec packaging आ रहा है. Jindal Poly, TCPL, they range between 27 to 49 times. Uflex is so down, it's 10 times it's trading, and on the other hand, Polyplex is up 83 times. So there is no proper clear industry valuation coming in. One of the reasons why it's out of favor, this entire industry as well. So concerns definitely comes, but at the middle of it is the company which we are analyzing, KYC. So I'm going to give this a neutral rating as well for valuations. But outlook is something which I like. Management has stated they go with that 15% revenue growth. They're confident of crossing the 1,000 crore revenue mark by FY28. There's a consolidation happening of almost 5 units in Hyderabad. A couple of units from Aditya Birla Group also. Grasim इनका client है. Capacity utilization बढ़ने वाले हैं इन plants का. And there's two important things to say before I close the outlook is the Panipat plant in thin wall and square pack. That is where the sales growth is happening. That's mentioned in the presentation. Whenever you analyze companies like that, be very thorough with your income statement, balance sheet, press release and investor presentation if you are a new analyst and watching this show. But as of now, outlook is strong. Let's give you the entire ratings of how things actually pan out. Largely, we see nothing major is happening in most of the criteria which we are discussing. Return ratios, there is a pressure, but the outlook, that is where I feel there might be some alpha to be made going ahead. Because of that, I'm going to give this company a total rating of 4 out of 8. This is largely in line with what generally we give to a company in this segment. We are joined in by Lakshmana Rao Janu Mahanti. He is the founder and CMD of Moltec Packaging. Good afternoon, Mr. Rao. It's always a pleasure to have you with us at NDTV Profit. Just discussing about the raw material prices, how volatile it has become. Once it went up to 120, now below that 80 mark. How does it impact your company? And going ahead, how do you hedge all this volatility? Well, it seems like there is a little bit of technical error. Mr. Rao, if you could reply on how the raw material challenges the company is facing and how you are hedging it.
Yeah, raw material prices have shot up in the month of March, but starting now, I hope it will start coming down. But we could successfully pass on the price rise to all the clients across the board, all segments, right in the month of March itself.
Fair enough. But let's go a little bit deeper into that volume growth, how those numbers are looking like in the first quarter, and going ahead, how's the client confidence? Is it coming back? from your domestic clients and international clients? How's the client confidence looking and the volume growth outlook?
We are closing the quarter very few days down the line. So I can't give that, but I'm very happy with the numbers that are happening. And especially in the paint, food and FMCG, especially in pharma, our growth numbers are as per my guidance given at the end of the Q4. And only in the field of lube, due to couple of major players have base oil supply issues during last 2 months, there's a dip in their volumes in lube segment. Overall, I'm very happy the way the company is performing, and I'm sure to impress you with the results beyond my guidance given in the Q4.
And the segmental performance outlook, do you think the Q4 numbers, how it is looking, it will sustain going ahead, or the lube business will be under pressure in the first quarter also?
No, fortunately for us, all these sectors have did well other than lubricants, especially the high value add products like food and FMCG. The growth is in high double digits. And in pharma, it is more than 50%, which is a major contributor towards EBITDA. So EBITDA numbers will be definitely surpass our estimates.
Little bit of consolidation is also happening for your Hyderabad plants, and there's the Aditya Birla Group's plants as well. So when this happens, and I know your company is backward integrated also, so for a packaging company, all these important points as a student of markets or someone tracking the packaging sector, I feel that the margins might go up going ahead. Just wanted to understand, is there any number or the growth in the next 2 to 3 years where these margins benefits start coming in? Mr. Rao?
You might have seen last year we did a very good jump in EBITDA margins thanks to better utilization and consolidation. But the consolidation benefit will accrue more in this year because last year it was hardly last 2 months we got the benefits. But this year, right from April, we will see the benefits of consolidation, which could be, I mentioned in my guidance last time, 2 to 3 rupees per kg at least. And with the increase in pharma and food FMCG numbers, we are aiming a good number, somewhere around 44, 45 for the full year. But definitely, as I mentioned in the guidance, minimum 42, 43 will happen even if, adverse conditions continue. But as of now, for the Q1, we could do very well in pharma and FMCG. And with more accumulation of the pharma clients, now more and more clients are giving us commercial orders. The quantities are increasing and we have to ramp up the capacities during this year itself. And some of the machines and molds are online. And as we are also looking at other high value add products like injectable pens and also semiconductor tray packaging, we have started looking into. That is another area of future, not immediate, but as the semiconductor industry is going to boom in this country in the next 3 to 5 years, we want to place ourselves ready to make the very high precision tray packaging, JEDEC trays or semiconductor trays, which are...
Now, I have a follow-up question on the semiconductor as well. That's a very big, statement by you, and it completely changes the product profile, the margin profile of the company. I just wanted to understand a little bit more. Are you earmarking any amount for it? Is there anything special tie-up for this? Because this requires a lot of technical support, IP support as well.
Yeah, we are in touch with a couple of manufacturers in Taiwan and China because US companies are very huge and they're generally not really interested to partner with an Indian company. There are visits planned in July and August to Taiwan and China to meet some of the probable players who can give their technical know-how or even consultancy. We are talking with them, but it is very initial phase. It will certainly take a year or two to get into that, but our thought process is to get into more and more value-add products. Even in pharma, we are getting into eye drops segment, and we have plans to enter into devices and diagnostic products and widen our product range rapidly in the coming years. So while semiconductor is a different ballgame, it depends upon the way the chips manufacturing happens in this country. We want to tie up with a couple of them. We have initiated talks with a couple of semiconductor companies who are planning to set up shop.
So high margin business for pharma, then we have semiconductor also. That's pretty interesting. But let's go a little back towards the factories. CapEx plans and expansion plans going ahead, for the next 2 to 3 years? Any amount is earmarked? What are you doing here?
So for this year, we have tampering down the CapEx. It will be in the region of around 90 crores, out of which 30 to 40 crores will be the maintenance CapEx, and the rest will be for pharma and these new projects what we are envisaging. Maybe trial molds for ophthalmic drops have been already successful. Now the commercial molds are getting ready. By December, we hope to get into market with that product range. And for the pens and devices, as I said, it is a 2-year plan, and probably in 28 we'll be able to come out with a model with a proper IP right and all that. So on these segments, we are at a drawing board stage now, both semiconductor trays and pens. I would not like to talk about those investments for the next 2 years at least. Probably in the year 27, 28, investments will start in those segments. And we don't have a rough sketch of the numbers that probably towards the end of this year we'll be able to spell out.
Mr. Rao, that's a pretty interesting take you have taken for the semiconductor portion. But I want to understand the debt levels also. What are the debt reduction plans coming in for the company, or do you think that you'll be taking more of debt for these expansions? Because debt at times is a overhang in your industry. Just wanted to understand your view on that.
If you notice across the industry and different industries also, we have one of the lowest debt equity ratio. I think our borrowings are hardly 0.2 times or 0.25 times the equity. So debt equity is hardly 0.25, which leaves a space for borrowing when it is needed for big projects. But today, as I said, this year, 26, 27, the consolidation is more important, and bringing in numbers in Panipat, which is north area, and Cheyyar, again down south, is where we are focusing for the core business. And in pharmaceutical, we'll be entering into several new products, maybe in this year. At least 4 to 5 new products we'll introduce. And next year, we'll be focusing on different.
Right, Mr. Rao. Thank you very much for giving your time to NDTV Profit and giving us the entire 360-degree picture for Moltech packaging. And that's pretty interesting. Folks, that's all for tuning in to KYC only on NDTV Profit, and for interesting stories like Moltech packaging, where they're trying to talk about semiconductor or entering high margin pharma businesses. Stay tuned with us. Bye.
India Inc.'s most respected names chose India Inc.'s best and brightest.
I'm delighted to be chairman of such distinguished fellow businessmen, bankers. It's just lovely to be back on this NDTV jury. I have been a fan of NDTV for a long time.
Many of the nominees are extremely close together in terms of what they've done.
Gender parity to be reflected while we choose leadership as well.
It's also important that how they are reshaping the industries.
We've got a fantastic jury, and we've left all decisions to the wisdom of the jury.
Who will earn India's top business honors? Find out at the NDTV Profit Business Leadership Awards. India's unshakable news habit. NDTV.com is India's #1 English news website.
Hi, I'm Tamanna Inamdar. Watch me on NDTV Profit, where I break down the day's biggest business stories. What happened, why it matters, and what it means for your money.
Hi, I'm Neeraj Shah. Watch me on NDTV Profit for the most incisive market intelligence and meaningful corporate conversations.
And I'm Alex Matthew. Markets, mutual funds, insurance, personal finance. I help you cut through the noise and make smarter financial choices.